Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I'm your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass, live in a living color here with you only on Grande's Graveyard. And tonight, it is a fifth dimension. Beyond that which is known to man. That's the signpost up ahead. Your next stop, Grande's Graveyard, Twilight Zone, top 10, only on Grande's Graveyard. So I'm very excited here tonight, of course, as I've done so many Twilight Zone shows at this point, it's actually hard to keep track. I've made a playlist of all the Twilight Zone shows that I've done with Will and Anthony and solo shows, and even some shows that I had first done years and years, over a decade ago. It's wild how many times I've sat here and talked about this show, but it truly never gets old, right? It's a show from 65 years ago, 60 years ago with certain episodes. It is absolutely wild that we are still here talking about it. And I always like to do one of these around the 4th of July because, of course, tomorrow, Sci-Fi Channel, they run their 24-hour Twilight Zone marathon. So they're going to be on all night there. Of course, I also know there's another channel, Heroes and Icons. That's also currently streaming and airing Twilight Zone episodes. They're free to watch on Pluto or Paramount Network, whatever the heck you have. You can watch all the Twilight Zone that you want. So I figured this is the best time of the year to do it. The day, of course, which we celebrate America. We on Grande's Graveyard, I figured we celebrate my favorite all-time show, and an American show in the Twilight Zone. So tonight, instead of doing season episode by episode with Anthony or underrated ones like I had done in the past with Will, I figured, why don't I finally sit down and narrow down 156 episodes to my top 10 episodes. I'm very excited here tonight. We've narrowed them down. This is the hardest list I've ever made in my life, and I'm very excited to share it with you all tonight, only on Grande's Graveyard. Let's see what y'all have to say here in the chat. We've got Miss C here live before we even went live. Ciao, Grande and Graveyardian friends. I'm ready to enter the Twilight Zone. Welcome, Miss C. Miss C shared her list on her Instagram page if you want to check out her top 10 Twilight Zone. She was very excited for the show this week. Welcome, Miss C. We got Slasher Fred is here. You are traveling to another dimension, a dimension of both sight and sound, a dimension where it is impossible. The impossible becomes possible. You've just entered the Twilight Zone. Welcome, Slasher Fred, hitting us with that headline. We got Mr. Dan in Horror in the house. I know you're a big Twilight Zone fan and a big Night Gallery guy. Him and Anthony actually did a cool review of a Night Gallery episode. So welcome, Mr. Dan. Hope all is well with you. We got Dr. Howdy. Will himself is here. What's up, Graveyard family? Will is in the heezy. What's going on, Will? We got Christopher, good old Chris from work. Chris, hope all is well with you, man. Hope you're chilling like a villain, ready for the 4th of July. We got D to the A. Speaking of people I work with, what's up, J to the G? Is that D to the A? Yeah, we got, you can see we all have these great chemistry of working together. LOL, yo, Chris. Yes, it is. See, it's a small world of friends. We got AJ's Happy Fun Time channel in the house. There's a prodigal son. Oh my God. I am the one prodigal son. AJ, my brother, how's those nuts hanging? Oh, boy. Nothing like keeping it classy. What up, Chris? Tough choices indeed. My favorite Twilight Zone is Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. There's a man out there. There's something on the wing. I will tell you right now, there is a William Shatner episode on this list. But will it be that one? Will it be that one or will it be the other one? We're going to find out here tonight on Grande's Graveyard. Checked out Fever Dreamland's top 10 Twilight Zone episodes today. Yes, I discussed it with Anthony. He needed his list. I sort of needed him to see mine for a blessing, but we kept it, kind of between ourselves. So that was a lot of fun. But everybody, I don't have anything to cheers. I drank my Poland Spring. Everybody cheers to a safe, happy, healthy weekend. And we're going to get this top 10 list right on the way, of course, is here. We have the little PowerPoint I've created of the top 10 Twilight Zone episodes. Now, of course, I figured we'd do it like this. I'll go, of course, from worst to first, or from 10 to 1, if you will. And then before number 1, we'll do honorable mentions. And we'll also do the bottom 5, because no one's ever negative about the Twilight Zone in history. So what I decided to do was to compile of a top 5 worst Twilight Zone episodes. So that will cap the show. We'll end that. We're not going to do in-depth reviews, but I do want to be a little bit negative on a show we're going to be pretty much positive about and gleaming the entire time. So I figured that'd be a lot of fun. But cheers, everybody, to a safe, happy, healthy weekend. And we're going to kick this son of a bitch right off right here and right now with number 10 on the all-time top 10 favorite Twilight Zone episodes. In my opinion, this is my list. It's all subjective, of course. If you want to share your lists as we go along here, or if you're catching the replay, feel free to do it. But kicking off this list, coming in at number 10, I'm talking about A stop at Willoughby. Yes, a stop at Willoughby. Brief plot synopsis. Tired of his miserable job and wife, a businessman starts dreaming on the train each night about an old, idyllic town called Willoughby. Soon, he has to know whether the town is real and fancies the thought of seeking refuge there. Yes, a stop at Willoughby. Now, this, of course, is, I mean, a really dark one when you're thinking about on the grand scheme of things. Now, I know there's another season 1 episode, which of course this is a late season 1 entry, called Walking Distance. Walking Distance from early season 1 with Gig Young, and he kind of walks back into his own childhood and fancies that time of growing up and the innocence of youth. And it's a beautiful one. It's a great episode. It has a very optimistic and positive outlook of moving forward in life and always staying optimistic and not looking back as opposed to looking ahead of what's in front of you in life. It's nice to reminisce down memory lane, but you have to also live in the present. You have to live in the now. This one is a more dark look / take on that entire idea as we follow James Daly, who plays this man who is a successful businessman in New York City. He is worked to the bone and works with these awful scum people, especially his fat boss who always push Williams, push Williams. This awful guy, just the big stereotypical mean, angry, fat boss that's always pushing him over the edge and kind of pushing his buttons when he's trying to do not disturb me type of mode, of course. And he is fed up with that life. He's successful. He has all this money, but he is truly sad. And when he goes home to his wife to vent about it, to tell her how he feels, she rejects his feelings as well. She tells him, well, you need to suck it up. You're living in a fantasy land and you're just this pathetic guy that could be so pleased and so satisfied with a regular Saturday afternoon. She says that he's a peasant and that he needs to suck up his emotions and feelings because obviously her lifestyle, her house, and the money that he's bringing in to support them is more important than any feeling that he could ever have. And I think it's something that we've all felt in life, no matter how successful we are or not at our jobs or in our lives or wherever we may be. We've maybe always felt the feelings that our lead goes through in this particular episodes, the feelings of unhappiness, the feelings of sadness, depression, I dare say. We've all been there. We've all had these thoughts, some more than others, but we've all been there. We're only human, right? And every night when our lead, he gets home on the train, he takes this long train ride home, he'll take a nap and he starts to dream about this town called Willoughby. And Willoughby is this old school, looks like it's in the 1880s. You have people riding these giant, like the giant tire, little tire tricycles, and you have kids running around with fishing rods and people playing choir music in the park. It just looks like the most beautiful Saturday afternoon that you could ever spend, that he dreams about it like this is his personal haven and he wants to go oh so bad. And every night on the train he sleeps and kind of wakes up on the train. He's like, should I go? And it's this big kind of personal inner conflict of, do I get off or do I stay on? Should I keep going with this misery in my life or do I get off to see what is Willoughby? Is it real? Is it going to satisfy me? And I love the inner turmoil that our lead character faces in this. He's such a good protagonist because you really can sympathize with him. He's a good guy. He's trying to do his best, but man, life is kicking him down. And he also inspires to be a part of this town of Willoughby. And of course, as the episode goes on, we see him get worn down more and more until he makes the final decision to get off at Willoughby. He gets off at the stop. And to me, the ending it's so dark and can be interpreted in so many different ways. And I know a lot of people don't really like the dark ending, but I think it's actually very interesting, poetic, and dare I say disturbing. Of course, he gets off and we see this great shot of him walking into the town of Willoughby underneath the sign. He sees the kids fishing and people saying, "Hi, sir, how are you? Good afternoon." Just pleasantry, right? This is somebody who lives in daily monotonous of being yelled at and shouted at and feeling less than. Here's these random strangers welcoming him with open arms as he walks off the train. And if you listen closely, you have the ear for that type of thing. You'll hear it on the, I believe it's the trombone. You hear the beautiful dreamer, wake unto me. And I thought that was so eerie when I first heard it too, because he's dreaming. He's supposed to be dreaming. And as he walks into this town happy and thinking, I've hit this perfect freaking spot, I finally got it, you see that the reality of what happened is he walked off the train and accidentally committed suicide. And they're packing his body up, and they ask the conductor, what did he say? What happened? And he says, well, he shouted something about Willoughby and jumped. And they're putting his body into the hearse, and they close the hearse, and it says Willoughby and Sons, and Willoughby is a funeral home. And Rod Serling has this great out narration where he's discussing, what is Willoughby? Is it a place in some man's mind that he just creates, a place that he wants to go? It's up to you what Willoughby is. We all have these personal heavens that we can imagine for ourselves. And for our lead character, James Daly, this was his. He just wanted peace. He wanted to get out of the monotonous stretch of his life. And I love how this is done from top to bottom. It is great drama, great dialogue, a really great idea of the whole escapism and how far will we go with that. And of course, the town of Willoughby itself, it's just so nicely dressed, and they really drop you into that world really well. So I really love this one. And it's one that I've liked more and more as I've gotten older. It's not one that when I was a kid that I appreciated as much, but now that I have lived and worked a job and had bosses that yell at you and you feel like shit some nights. I'll never forget that when I worked in New York City, feeling like dog shit coming home on the train every night. I was like, man, where's my Willoughby? My Willoughby would have a Mountain Dew fountain and a bunch of fucking big booty Latinas. I mean, my Willoughby would be a lot different than his, but we all have got a Willoughby is the point at the end of the day. So that's the whole beauty of this episode to me. And it's quite dark, right? It's not this happy ending where he got to go off into Fantasyland, live happily ever after. No, he killed himself. I mean, it's dark when you think about it, but man, really well executed. So I really love this one. Let's see what y'all have to say in the comments. Mr. Dan in Horror. Yep, I'm a fan of all things Serling, as am I. Rod Serling just never missed. One of my faves. Yes, it's definitely one of the all-time best zones, in my opinion. One of those episodes that gets deeper, deeper as you grow older. That's so true. It's so true of what I'm saying, where you just don't appreciate this one the same as you do when you're older. Like once you've lived it, once you've gone through it, once you can see what he's going through and can resonate with it, holy shit, man. It just hits all that much better. 1-0 Mets, Nimmo homer. Well, Nimmo's on fire. That's good to hear. D to the A. The darker the better, just like me. Oh boy, AJ's the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice, AJ. But yeah, no, this is, like, to me, Walking Distance is that's the PG version of this, whereas this one is the deep, disturbing NC-17 one where you're like, holy cow. My top 10 episode, The Masks, which the masks show these characters two colors. The Nightmare Before Christmas, the masks that lock, shock, barrel, where resemble their true faces. Well, The Masks is a great episode. R.I.P. Ida Lupino, of course, who directed that one. My chat is Grande freezing, or are you all okay? Oh, I hope I'm not freezing. Robert, Night 90s in the house. What's going on, Robert? Where my parents live, there's a donut shop called Willoughby's, and it always freaks me out when they ask me if I want to take a trip there. No, that's so fucking creepy. Is it still open? That's so crazy, man. We got to visit Willoughby's Donuts. That wasn't the 1880s, buddy. That was 1990s. I was there. Oh, boy. Grande's not freezing for me. I hope I'm not freezing. I hope not. I think I'm okay on my end, but then again, we never know. Slender Man could fucking, I don't know. Yep, this one really resonates. It does. It really does. Thanks, Howdy. It was on your end. Okay, no worries. Miss C, you got to put another quarter in the Wi-Fi machine. Willoughby would be the land of cheesesteaks and wings for me. Exactly. We all have our Willoughby, no matter what it is. It's so personal to us. And this was his fantasy land, which I really liked. No, okay. Thanks, Will. Now I want wings and donuts. Well, God damn it. You can order them out. Why not? But that's number 10, A Stop at Willoughby, one that I've always really, really enjoyed. I think it's just such an underrated one that definitely deserves a little bit more love. And it's funny that we got Dr. Howdy in the chat, because this is one I know he loves as well, is our next pick here, coming in at number 9. I'm talking about Death's Head Revisited. Yes, Death's Head Revisited. Brief plot synopsis. Former German SS captain Gunther Lutze returns to Dachau concentration camp and begins reminiscing about the power he enjoyed during the, quote, good old days, until he finds himself on trial by the ghosts of those who died in his hands. Yes, Death's Head Revisited. Now, this is from, of course, season 3, episode number 9. This is, I mean, when you're talking about the most disturbing Twilight Zones, and I had Will on and we had discussed this in depth, this is the most disturbing one. I don't think there's a zone you could watch that's truly more impactful and or disturbing as this. This one's tough to watch. Of course, it stars, I want to get his name right here. I think it's Oscar Bareji Jr., who had been in a few other zones. Of course, Rip Van Winkle Caper, if you will, from season 2. He stars as this former Nazi officer who returns to, of course, one of the Dachau concentration camps in order to nostalgically relive his glory of the times when he would brutally beat down Jewish people during the Holocaust. And the idea of that right off the bat is just absolutely horrifying, right? This guy coming back to relive the glory he had of torturing people and murdering people. And not just, that way, it's just a point of, okay, what did you do to these people? And they go into extensive detail. He walks into the Dachau and he'll start seeing these landmarks and imagining what happened there. Like he sees these pillars and then he kind of closes his eyes, opens, and it's a bunch of people being hung on the pillars. And then he'll go into one of the huts where they slept, and you see a flashback of him discussing to this Jewish man who's begging him for water. And he goes, "What's the matter? It's only been 5 little days since you had a drink of water." 5 little days. And he's beating the shit out of this poor Jewish man who's begging him for a drink. It's disturbing. It's truly not for the faint of heart and can absolutely disturb even the people that watch disturbing shit all the time. It's deeply dark in that way. And I think that, of course, the performance from Oscar Bareji and, of course, Joseph Schildkraut as this man who, of course, Becker, who was this guy who used to be one of the victims in the concentration camp. He kind of comes and confronts him and, "Welcome back, Mr. Lutzer. It's been a long time since we've seen you in these parts. Becker, you're Becker." And back and forth they go as, Oscar is trying to plead that he was just taking orders and that these were just little mistakes of the past, whereas Schildkraut is like, little mistakes? How could you call them little mistakes? You weren't doing your job. You were a monster. You were a sadist. You were someone that tortured us alive and fed us salt water until our tongues swelled and hung us and put us in gas chambers and did surgery on us without any anesthesia while we were awake. I mean, you were truly the evil of the earth at that time. And you did it not only with this is messed up. You did it with a smile ear to ear. This is someone that was a true real-life monster who was going back to enjoy the glory days of hurting people, of killing people mercilessly. And now, of course, it's his turn to stand trial. And all assemble in the square! These ghosts of Holocaust pats kind of surround him and say, "We're going to put you on trial, sir." And, of course, there's these great disturbing sequences of all of these Jewish victims looking at him. They're all ghosts and they're all just sickly and skinny and have these distorted faces. And it tells a very, very good story, in my opinion. It's disturbing. It's dark. It's whatever you want to call it, but it's truly impactful because, I mean, the Holocaust itself is a touchy subject. There's really no way to get around how crazy and horrifying all that truly was. This is something that really happened. That's something that somebody made up. It's something that happened in reality. And that's what's the scariest part about it. As our lead, he's trying to push back and no, I don't want any of this. And he's laughing that he's going to stand trial. He punches out a window and he has to feel the pain that all of his victims started to feel. "Do you feel the bullets, sir?" And he feels being shot as he gets on the ground and ducks in cover, and he starts panting and screaming, and he just absolutely goes crazy. They make him lose his mind as the episode kind of wraps up, and these guys are kind of taking him off of the place. And he goes, "I dropped him off 3 hours ago. He was perfectly normal, perfectly fine. What can happen to a man in 3 hours to turn him insane?" And, this is a question that's asked by the doctor, and Rod Serling answers the question. He goes, there's an answer to the doctor's question of why it all still stands, the Dachau's, the Auschwitz's, etc. They're a reminder to a moment in time when man tried to turn the world into a graveyard. And no pun intended on the show, of course, but that's why they stand. That's why they have to still stand. It always has to pay a reminder that if you, of course, do not learn from history, as dark as it is, we're doomed to repeat it. And you have to have them standing because they are the reminder of time when they tried to make the world into a graveyard. It's very poetic. It's something that was, I think, very personal to Rod Serling, of course, a man of Jewish descent. And our two leads here were both, of course, Jewish. Oscar and Silkhout, they were both Jewish men. So they really give it their all here. The performances are very, very well done. They're very stoic, but cool and calm at the same time. And when Oscar has to go fucking crazy, he does it in spades. You really do feel this episode. It's an episode that you really have an impact with. And I think that Death's Head Revisited is one that has to be on your top 10 list, for me at least. I always love this one. It's disturbing. It's dark. It's everything, but man, really a classic Twilight Zone in my opinion. So let's get back to comments. Let's hear what you guys have to say about this one. I think we were here. We got Texas in the house. Hola, Grande and everyone. Texas THC 1965 is here. Welcome, Tex. Two heavy hitters. Yeah, no, we don't pull no punches on Grande's Graveyard, buddy. We start this show up hot. I love this one too. I think this one it's one that not enough people give enough love to. Like, I always really liked this one a lot. I think it's great. Oh my, Mr. Dr. Howdy. Grande's mentioning ones I haven't watched yet. I'll have to add these to my watch list. Awesome. I hope you like them. 1985 Woody Allen movie, The Purple Rose of Cairo, can be seen as the reversal of the 16mm shrine. Mateo is here. Ciao, Grande. Just back from barbecue, slightly buzzed. Hello to the whole graveyard. Miss Mateo, happy to see you. Go Blue Jays, by the way. Congrats about first place. Yo, you got to believe, Bully. You've got to believe. Oh, man, Scratch Perno dropping the big, tall wish on us. That didn't make my top 10, but that's a really good one as well. The Big Tall Wish from season 1. That's a deep cut. Not a lot of people know that one, but thank you. I appreciate you thinking of that one. Anthony Chobo's in the house. What's going on? How are you doing today? By the way, up to 2014. I start training in a week. All right, good for you, man. I hope that all goes well. Let's see people saying hi. What? The Twilight Zone, such a very classic show, is how it uses the idea of having some episodes dealing with bigotry, something that was uncommon in television during the pre-code era. I mean, yeah, and the thing is, with this particular topic, you weren't so far after this. I mean, this airs in, I think, 1961. So you were 16 years removed from it when it aired. You're 15 years removed from it when it was, shot. It wasn't really, that long of a layoff. It wasn't that long of a turn away. So this was still fresh in people's minds to do something like this. Now, I know they also do the one with what's his name? Fucking Dennis Hopper. He's alive. That one's not as good as this at all, but that's another one where it touches on this whole idea of the Nazis and things like that. And, Dennis Hopper is meant by Hitler. That one's not great, but this one is. I think Death's Head Revisited is a great Twilight Zone and one that is definitely worth the watch, in my humble opinion. Really underrated one. Of course, though, when you're talking about ones that are super popular, ones that are on most people's top 10 list, you're talking about the one that's up next here, one that I think has to make anyone's top 10 Twilight Zone list when you're thinking about it. And this is, of course, coming in at the number 8 slot. This is Living Doll. Yes, Living Doll from season 5, episode number 6. Brief plot synopsis. Frustrated, Eric Strader does battle with his stepdaughter's Christie's doll, talking doll, Talkie Tina, whose vocabulary includes such unconventional phrases as, I hate you, and hi, my name is Talkie Tina, and I'm going to kill you. Yes, Living Doll. Now, this one is a staple with most Twilight Zone fans and was a huge inspiration for movies like Child's Play, movies like Dolly Dearest, movies like Megan, movies like Annabelle. Hell, the wife's name in this is even Annabelle, so I always wondered if they maybe even took a bit of that as well. This is your classic killer doll segment, and I don't know if it's ever been done better in anything, adaptation, homage, original film, what have you, than it's done here. And of course, the biggest reasons for that are our two leads here. Of course, the legendary Telly Savalas as the lead, Eric Strader, who I always loved Telly Savalas. I always loved him as Kojak. I always loved him in some of the Mario Bava films that he participated in. I always really just thought he was a great pro actor, just somebody that was always brought a good intensity. And here he plays this mean stepfather who, of course, has just married a woman who had a kid from a previous marriage, and he is not taking to it well because he and his new wife cannot conceive. They can't have a child of their own, and he's not accepting this new child into his life well. He doesn't like her. He's mean to her. She talks down to the wife, talks down to the child. And one day the kid comes home with her brand new doll. She's alive, Daddy, and her name is Talkie Tina. And Talkie Tina, of course, is voiced by the legendary June Foray, who you may remember June Foray from Rocky and Bullwinkle. She's Rocky Bullwinkle. So many wonderful voices that June Foray has done over the years. There are literally too many to count. I think there's over 200 to 300 credits to her name of a voice actress. And it's funny because she goes uncredited here as the doll. But she's so good in this episode as this take on a Chatty Cathy doll, which was the doll around this time, right? This is the early 1960s. Chatty Cathy was the doll. So what did they do in the Twilight Zone? They decided, hey, instead of Chatty Cathy, we'll do the alliteration of Talkie Tina. And of course, whenever everyone's around, you pull the string and it says, hi, I'm Talkie Tina and I love you very much. But when it's one-on-one, when it's her and Telly, it's, hi, my name is Talkie Tina and I'm beginning to hate you. All of the mano-a-mano between Telly and the doll, as you see here in this fun scene where they're at the dinner table and he has a one-on-one with the doll. It is so well done and entertaining. And the back and forth, it just never stops. And he's just being an asshole. He's thinking the wife and the kid are in this. He goes, this is a sick little game you guys are playing. So at points, he throws the doll away in the trash can, only to get calls from it and saying, hi, I'm Talkie Tina, and I'm going to kill you. And he's getting freaked out. He's getting spooked. He's like, what the hell? At a point, he takes the doll and tries to destroy it. He puts it in a vice, tries to blowtorch it. He tries to saw its own head off. He beats it on the head, anything he can to try to destroy this doll, but it doesn't take any damage. He's in shock. He's like, what the fuck do I have to do to destroy this goddamn doll? It's indestructible. It won't die. This doll will not die. And Telly is fucking freaked out. He sells it great with his emotions because, again, we know Telly from Kojak, right? He's just this cool guy with the red lollipop and no fucks given. Everything will be cool as a cucumber. But when faced with June Foray's Talkie Tina, man, holy shit goes down. And I love every second of it. And now, of course, there's the other story that's really being told here. In fact, sort of the main story in psychology with this is the idea of a child, right? A child caught in turmoil of a step-parent marriage, if you will. What do I mean by that? He treats Christy, the daughter, terribly. He speaks to her horribly. She says, Daddy, please don't take my doll. And he says, I'm not your daddy. And she runs off crying. And there are scenes where he strips the doll from her hands and says, how much did it cost? Anything to belittle the kid, make the kid feel like shit about herself when she's a really sweet, nice kid on the surface. That's the other story that they're really telling here. It's about the horrors of a child caught in the turmoil of, an abusive parent. And of course, once Telly tries to get rid of the doll for the final time, the wife says, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to walk out this door right now. There's going to be no seeing me or Christy again. You're not hurting us anymore. And he says, what if I give the doll back to Christy? Will that fix it? Will that make everything go away? And she goes, I don't know at this point. So he goes down against his better judgment. He gives the doll back to the kid begrudgingly and goes to bed, but he hears these noises in the middle of the night. He kind of looks around and trips over the doll as he's looking around. He tumbles down the steps. It's a very good stunt by the stuntman, whoever that was. Crashes and burns, breaks his neck, and who falls into his lap but Talkie Tina as he looks into the eyes of his supernatural killer before he falls faint. The wife runs down the steps. Eric! She runs down the steps, picks up the doll, looks, and my name is Talkie Tina, and you better be nice to me. I love that. And they do the whole slow-mo as we pan out, and we get Rod's great point. We all know that dolls can't commit murder. We all know dolls can't verbally threaten you. But to a child that is caught in the turmoil of a falling apart marriage, dolls can become oh so more. They can become a lot of things. Guardian, protector, killer if need be. And that's what Talkie Tina is. She's the protector. She's the guardian. And she will do whatever it takes to take care of Christy, even if it means, killing the owners, killing the parents, if you will. Great stuff. To me, it's endlessly entertaining, and I think that's the number one most important thing about it. It's scary where it has to be. The voice that June Foray does, it's just right on the money. Is one of my favorite killer doll voice performances. She's just so good, and it sounds so innocent, it sounds so sweet, but she's so evil and vicious and vindictive, and I just love that performance. And Mano a Mano with Telly, to me, you can't miss. This is a great T-zone, and one that I just think it's on most people's list. This one is definitely not going to miss a lot of top 10 lists. At least I would think it is. But we will see. My name is Talkie Tina, and I'm beginning to hate you. Yep, it's classic. Definitely a crazy one there with Tina. Yes, it's a great one. I love the episode. Savalas is great. Yes, Telly Savalas was just a pro. Like, every time I see him on stuff, you're always like, oh man, you're in good hands right now. Telly Savalas a fucking pro. Like, just any role, he could play it. Living Doll's episode that sparked my interest in watching Twilight Zone. I kept hearing people mentioning it. It's great, in my humble opinion. It really is. And it's like I said, it's the blue plate, it's the template for all of these great talking / killer doll entities that we got. Of course, Don Mancini's always gone on record saying there would be no Chucky without Talkie Tina, because he completely ripped off this episode to write the initial screenplay of which was called Batteries Not Included, and then of course became Child's Play. Grande's favorite, Dolly Dearest. Of course, I love Dolly Dearest. Oh God, Dolly Dearest is horrible. Jeff Down is up is here. John Carradine and the Howling Man. Hope everyone has a safe and fun 4th of July. Well, that's quite the comment. Will the Howling Man make the list? We will see, Jeff. We will see. People saying hi. Mateo Telly Savalas was great in Blowfield in At Your Majesty's Secret Service. Yes, which is a Bond film, and he's really good in that as the villain. That's one I often forget about, because At Your Majesty's Secret Service is not one that I go back to watch a lot, right? George Lazenby joint. But Telly is always money. Like, Telly's so fucking good, man. Where is everybody? This episode makes me think of the scene in the original 28 Days Later where the guy wakes up from his coma. Yeah, that's a good comparison for sure. Is there still a 24-hour marathon? Yes, that's a big reason why I'm doing this, is because there's the 24-hour marathon on Sci-Fi tomorrow. And right now on Heroes and Icons channel, there's a marathon going on. So somewhere, some way, you could watch Twilight Zones right now. Yeah, there is. My day is covered tomorrow. Burgers in the Zone. Hell yeah, right? Stopover in a Quiet Town. Okay, that's another really good one. Telly Savalas was also in the underrated sequel to The Poseidon Adventure. Was he really? I've never seen the sequel to The Poseidon. I saw the remake with Kurt Russell, but I don't. The Poseidon Adventure is just something we should just leave alone at this point. Just not one of my favorite movie franchises. It's weird that it is one. But coming up next, though, this is one that for a long time I had at the number one slot. Now it's gradually moved down over the years because, of course, tastes change. You get more mature. You get older, I suppose. But this one still is one of my all-time favorites, and one that I think a lot more people should give some love to. Of course, this is another season 1 joint coming in at number 7, A Nice Place to Visit. Yes, A Nice Place to Visit. Brief plot synopsis. When bad guy Henry Francis Valentine, a.k.a. Rocky, dies in a shootout with police, he wakes up in the next world where his every wish is granted forever and ever. Yes, A Nice Place to Visit. Now, this one is... oh my God, I love this one. It stars, of course, and I want to get his name right, Larry Blyden, who, it's funny, they initially wanted Mickey Rooney to play this part. Mickey Rooney never, I love Mickey Rooney, but never for this part. Like, Larry Blyden was the guy to get. And he's this sleazeball who goes and robs banks and jewelry stores, and he's always on the run from the Federals. He's fucking just bad news, a bad guy. And the episode opens, he's robbing a jewelry store, he's grabbing all this jewelry, and he runs out the door, and the police try to corner him, and they're shooting, and he's trying to hop this big fence, and then ultimately falls. And Rod's narration, most stories end here where our villain is killed, but for of course Rocky Valentine, the story has just begun. And of course he wakes up and is met by Sebastian Cabot, who is this guy who's got this bleached white hair and this white suit. His name is Pip, P-I-P, Pip. And Pip welcomes him to the afterlife. He says, listen, you got a hole in the head not too long ago. Welcome, you're in the afterlife. And, Rocky's trying to figure out what's going on. He says, well, what is this? Is this something like heaven, right? And you're my guardian angel, something like that, right? And so something like that. He tells him, it's something like that. And we watch as this criminal, this crook, this bad guy, his entire life starts to enjoy himself in the afterlife. All of a sudden, he has all of these things that he wanted at once. He all of a sudden is winning at all his gambling games. He can get any woman that he wants. He can go anywhere, get anything to eat, do anything at his own will. Anything he wants, it's boom, it's right there at his fingertips. There's nothing to ask for anymore. Everything he desires, he gets. Because in his own personal heaven, this is everything he wants. And I love how this plays out. We watch this guy enjoying himself, partying with beautiful women, having beautiful 5-star steak dinners, winning at roulette on every number that he pulls, every slot machine, beating up police officers, right? He has this, he's like, oh, they can't touch me. He beats the hell out of one of them. He's just this guy that is, wow, I'm in my own personal haven. And as we watch him throughout the episode, he starts to get bored. He starts to get complacent that all of these good things aren't as good as they seem to be, right? Because all too much of a good thing starts to kind of become bad, starts to kind of become boring. As we watch this guy and he confronts Pip about it. He says, well, why did I end up here? I always wanted to know, why did I end up in heaven? I was always considered such a bad guy to everybody. Everybody hated me. Nobody really liked me. And he says, well, what we'll do is we can go to the Hall of Records. We can pull your records and we can see all the instances of why you're here in the afterlife. So they go to this really cool hall, which I grabbed this still image of. I love this. And Bruce Almighty, if people have seen Bruce Almighty, they kind of borrow from that with the scene with Jim Carrey and Morgan Freeman where he pulls out the drawer and it goes on for eternity. You pull your own personal file of what you've done in your life that's good or bad to ultimately decide whether you go to heaven, hell, or purgatory. I love this scene from a visual standpoint. It looks absolutely incredible. Of course, the director was John Brom. And of course, this was a script from Charles Beaumont. He pulls this draw and they start to read Rocky Valentine's key moments of life. And age of 5, murdered dog. Age of 7, robbed candy store. And he goes on and on and on. Age of 12, joined a street gang. The Angels. That's what we called ourselves, the Angels. He starts to read all of these files and he gets upset. He goes, well, what the hell? This doesn't make any sense. And, the ending scene to me is always what made this one of the all-time greats as he and Pip go back to the apartment and Mr. Valentine is truly starting to lose his mind. I don't want to do this anymore. I've been here a month and I can't stand it anymore. I can't lose at gambling. I'm getting bored with beautiful dames, as he calls in the episode. I'm just bored, Fats. And, I don't understand why I'm here. I don't understand why you put me here. I thought this place was for school teachers and things like that. And of course, Pip with the best line of the episode goes, oh, we have some school teachers here without missing a beat. I thought that was great. And he says to him, hey, man, I don't think a guy like you, a guardian angel like you, is going to understand this, but I think I belong in the other place. I don't belong here. I belong in the other place. And, he says, I don't belong in heaven. And Pip, kind of without missing a beat, goes, whatever gave you the idea you were in heaven, Mr. Valentine? This is the other place. And he starts maniacally laughing as Mr. Valentine can't open the door of his room now. And we get this very creepy, I don't know if it's piano music or what, but it's this great musical score as we watch Pip hysterically laughing as Mr. Valentine realizes, holy shit, my personal heaven and everything I've ever wanted in my entire life, all given to me, no questions asked, is actually my own personal hell. And that to me is just fantastic writing. We think of hell as this place with brimstone and fire and torture and all these terrible things. But what if your personal hell was actually your personal heaven? And because you're always accommodated, because your wishes are always granted, that you become bored of it and you have to live with them for eternity. That is a darkness of a different color. I love that idea. I think that's so unique and deep. And I know there are some people that complain, oh, well, it's very, extremely predictable. That's fine if you feel that way. I think it's the journey to get to that destination of this guy slowly trying to figure out, holy shit, I'm actually in hell. This is the other place, Mr. Valentine. Great stuff. I really like this one. I always thought it was super good. And it's one that, again, a lot of people in popular culture have taken from this particular episode. Like I said, Bruce Almighty is one that, without a doubt, saw this episode in the part where they go for the records. There's no doubt in my mind. Another one that you may not notice is The Sopranos. The Sopranos blatantly fucking ripped this one off. And what do I mean by that? The episode where Christopher Moltisanti dies, right? Tony holds his nose closed. Kennedy and Heidi, I think is the name of the episode. The episode where Christopher dies, Tony eventually goes to Las Vegas, or I think it's Las Vegas, or it's Atlantic City, one or the other. I think it's Vegas. He goes to Vegas. He meets one of Chris's exes. Beautiful fucking woman. Way out of even Tony Soprano. Granted, Tony Soprano got with some good-looking women, even though you're like, how? But beautiful woman that was Chris's ex. Has sex with her. Goes down to the casino, starts winning like crazy, can't lose. You even see, if you have an eye for that kind of thing, if you got an evil eye like me, you'll see that one of the slot machines has the devil on it, a smiling devil with a pitchfork and flame. That is entirely David Chase homaging this episode. He's got the beautiful woman. He's got the winning and the gambling. The bad luck is gone. He's done with Christopher Moltisanti. And the end of the episode, Tony Soprano throws his arms up and goes, I did it! You know, he's free. He's free of the bad luck. He's in the nice place now. Whoa. Like, when I first noticed, I was like, holy shit, man. Like, that is so crazy that somebody else was so profoundly impacted by this episode that they took it and adapted it to something like The Sopranos, which, again, now a lot of people are going to notice that. But when I did notice it, I was like, holy shit. Like, totally, without a doubt. I love this one. This one's underrated. A lot of people don't like this. They say it's over the top. They say it's a little cheesy. My opinion, it's really well done. I like it from start to finish, man. Grande, me and you almost have literally this. Yeah, we have a lot in common. I know we have similar tastes in this show for sure. This one's great. Should have been Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny about Mickey Rooney, that crazy bastard? They eventually do get him in, I think it's season 5, The Night of the Jockey, Last Night of the Jockey. And man, that one sucks. It's like he's this jockey that cheated or bet or gambled on something, and he's in his apartment and he wishes to be big. And then the twist at the end is he's so big he can't get out of his fucking apartment. Like, that one's just depressing and bad. Whereas this one, like, I get maybe why they wanted to try Mickey Rooney. And another fun fact, they actually at a point wanted to have Rod Serling play the lead role. They wanted him to not be the the narrator and closing and opening. They wanted Rod Serling to be the lead, and they ultimately decided against it. Now, Rod Serling eventually does get inserted in an episode called A World of His Own, where it's a kind of nod / cameo at the end where they throw Rod into the fire. I love that. But no, this one, I think Larry Blyden was the guy to get. And, of course, Sebastian Cabot as Pip is just also money here. He's so good in this role. Many of the actors who used to work with Walt Disney had worked on The Twilight Zone, because Sebastian Cabot, who appeared in the episode, plays Bagheera in Disney's final movie, The Jungle Book. Yeah, and that's, I mean, he's really good here. They didn't want him to wear a wig. I know he wanted to wear a wig for the role, but they convinced him, dye your hair white. Like, it's going to work. It's going to really work. And yeah, this is, I mean, a great performance from both of them. Sounds like my own personal heaven. Yeah, no, listen, hey, this doesn't look like a bad personal heaven to me, but there's great parts of it. Like, you think, oh, okay, my own personal heaven, does that mean I'll have this giant pool table in my room? Because I love playing pool. Yeah, sure. He has this giant pool table. He takes one shot on the break and all the balls go in order. And he's just like, fuck, like, I can't lose in anything. It's not the same when I know I'm going to win. It just, it takes the thrill out of it. It's what kicks do you get of robbing a store when you know you're going to get away with it? What kicks do you get out of gambling when you know you're going to win? It takes the stakes out of it. It takes the excitement and the fun, all the heightened energy that you have, and the whole idea of, holy shit, could this win? They take that all out of it because you know you're going to win. It's such a flip-flop. It's genius, though. It's really well done. 1-1 tied up in the bottom of the 4th. All right, no worries. Long way to go. Let's see. Yeah, that episode freaked me out as a kid. Yeah, it's creepy. It's definitely creepy. Rob was a genius. The Twilight Zone would be enough, but then you add Planet of the Apes, legendary. And yes, I mean, Planet of the Apes is tremendous. And funny enough, if you are a fan of Willoughby, the Stop at Willoughby episode, that lead actor, James Daly, he would go on to act in Planet of the Apes. So I always wondered if he, had met Rod at a Stop at Willoughby and then was like, man, I'd love to work with you down the road. Then, of course, he's one of the apes in Planet of the Apes. So full circle there. Of course, as is Roddy McDowell, who's in a season 1 episode of The Zone. Love Roddy. My brother got to run out for a minute, but I'll be back on Zone forever. Dude, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. What season is this one? This one's season 1, episode 28. You can stream these for free on Pluto, or if you could check the tomorrow, I'm sure it'll be on in the marathon. This is generally one they show. I just don't know what times or anything. I would love to have that tape recorder. Yeah, I mean, it would be really cool. Like, her name is Mary. And Jeff knows the one I'm talking about. It's this great episode where this guy, he's like a playwright, and he can talk. Anything that he says comes to life in front of him. He makes up this entire woman. Her name is Mary. And all of a sudden this woman shows up and she's feeding him drinks and things like that. And then his wife sees, she's like, you motherfucker, like, stop making up these women to cheat on me with. Like, and then the whole twist is that his wife is one of these recordings. Great stuff. Like, that's a really good one, A World of His Own. Sebastian Cabot was also on the TV series Family Affair. Yeah, he's great. I love Sebastian Cabot. He did a really good job. Cool, didn't know that. Yeah, no, it's a totally cool, fun fact. But a nice place to visit is one from the first season that I just always have really, really loved. And it's funny, we go from season 1, episode number 28 to season 2, episode number 28. 28, I guess, was a lucky number in the Twilight Zone. As we move on to this next one here, of course, coming in at number 6. I asked you people tonight on Grande's Graveyard, I asked you the pivotal question: will the real Martian please stand up? Yes. Brief plot synopsis. Following a frantic phone call about a crashed spaceship on a winter night, state troopers Bill Paget and Dan Perry try to determine who among the bus passengers at a snowed-in roadside diner is a visitor from another world. Yes, will the real Martian please stand up? Now, this one is just cinema, right? This is just one of the more entertaining episodes of the entire show. As you know, Rod says there in the narration, you've heard of trying to find a needle in a haystack. Well, these two policemen are going to try to find a Martian in a diner, as the Twilight Zone does their whole twist on it. And we watch as these two policemen, it's a cold, wintry, snowy night. They get this call from a frantic, crazed woman and says, hey, I just saw a flying saucer land into the pond outside my house. You need to get over here and check this out. So they come out, they check it out, and they say, well, we don't see anything, but we do see footsteps leading into the diner. They get into the diner, and of course, it's these people that just got off a bus trip, and they're resting there, getting some food and stuff before they have to go across this bridge that's dangerously, in order, but it's kind of not safe. They walk in there, and of course, there were 6 people in the bus, but there's 7 in the diner. So the idea is one of these 7 people in the diner is a Martian, is not who they say they are, but a alien from another planet. And it's up to our 2 cops, and of course, you, the viewer, it's up to us to kind of pick out in the crowd which one of these people is an alien. And I love this. It is so freaking entertaining as we kind of play who done it. Who is it? Who is the Martian in this diner? Will you please stand up and reveal yourself to all? And we're all, introduced to these red herrings, right? We have the bus driver himself that says, I counted only 6. That means there's definitely one of you that didn't get on the bus. And then somebody says the great point, well, who noticed you? Who knows that you were the same one driving the bus? Automatically, like, holy shit, you have the one guy who, if you know you're Stephen King, you'll notice this. He says continuously, I have a meeting in Boston at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I can't miss it. I can't miss it. If you've seen The Langoliers, the Bronson Pinchot character, he always says, I have this meeting in Boston at 9 a.m. I've got to be there. That, again, homage to this episode. That whole dialogue is inspired from this. I thought that was great. You have him. You have this creepy old man with these, not cross-eyes, but his eyes are like out. And that guy is great in the episode. This creepy old man, I believe his name is Jack Elam, as Avery. What a creepy bastard as this guy who's kind of making all these jokes that, are funny as hell. And the police kind of interview him. They're like, hey, man, who won the World Series last year? Trying to test his knowledge. And he goes, don't think us Martians know anything about America's national pastime, do you? And he goes, yeah, the Pirates took it from the Yankees 4 out of 7. I love it. He knows the answer, and he just kind of makes fun of them as he does it. We've got a couple of couples in there, which one of them you may notice is, I want to get his name here too, Bill Irwin, who would go on to be in like Home Alone and Small Parts and shit like that. Like, I know you'll notice Bill Irwin. It's a really young Bill Irwin without that classic mustache. I was like, holy shit, I recognize him as well. And we watch as these people, at first I'm not the Martian. I know you're not the Martian. I know they're not the Martian. And as it plays out, everyone's suspecting everyone. It's like this panicked mass hysteria in this diner of all these people that are starting to point the fingers at each other. No, it's you. No, it's her. Oh my gosh. No, it's got to be this person. And it's so entertaining as this thing plays out. And slowly but surely, we see these weird things happening. Like the music record starts playing on its own, the jukebox, it starts playing music on its own. And you get the idea that the extraterrestrial entity is making this happen. The lights start flickering on and off. These sugar jars explode in front of people. You're like, what the fuck is going on? This is so freaking creepy. Like, what is happening? So it keeps going on and on until we get to, the whole idea of we can't hold anybody here on the suspicion of being a Martian after all this. Like, let's go. Well, apparently this bridge is safe now. Let's cross it. Let's get out of here. Now, of course, we cut to the next scene where it's one of the people from the bus walking back into the diner, and it's the guy that wanted to go to Boston. He was like, oh, I've got to get to Boston. That guy, and I want to get the actor's name right here, John Hoyt as Ross. He's great. He walks back into the diner, sits down, and of course he meets Haley, who is the guy who's running the diner, of course played by Barney Phillips. He says, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's, I'm all right, but I'll tell you one thing: that bridge wasn't safe. It collapsed, and everybody drowned. They're all dead. And he's like, holy shit, like, how did you get out? How do you survive? You're not even wet. And he, of course, what's wet? What do you mean, what's wet? And he goes, what do you mean, what's wet? You fell in the river and your clothes are all dry. What are you talking about? And he says, oh, well, this funny thing about that. And he reveals that he's a Martian and he has a third arm as he's kind of smoking and lighting it up with these three arms. I thought that was great. He's kind of lighting it up. And then what they do is a double turn ending. Very rare, but when it's done right. And of course, he's going on and on. Oh, us Martians are going to love it down here. We find this place great. These cigarettes taste great. He's going on and on about how great Earth culture is and all that. Why don't you play some music? It's great. And of course, the double twist is Haley, the bartender played by Barney Phillips. He is from Venus. And he says, hey, if you're still alive, you'll see how we differ because your people from the colony, they've been intercepted. And I think you'll see how we differ. He takes his little hat on, his little fry cook hat that you'll see in this still here. He takes his hat off and he reveals that he has a third eyeball and he kind of smiles at him and laughs. And Rod says, when you're meeting the common folk at the bar that doesn't seem quite right, make sure you shake their hands, all three of them. Make sure you check their eye colors, all three of them. As we get this great double turn that one was a Martian and one was a person from Venus, right? As we fade to black. Really great one. Doesn't have much to say, but it's so great entertaining the entire time. It plays out like a literal Agatha Christie, and even someone says it in the room. I think Jack Elam says it in the room. He goes, it's like an Agatha Christie. He don't know who she is. She don't know who he is. And the most suspicious person of all is the guy in the coat over there. It's so entertaining, man. It's crazy how you can make something so entertaining in a diner, a single location of people just talking and pointing fingers at one another, calling each other aliens, but it somehow works perfectly. It is one of, if not the most entertaining episodes. So to me, it has to be on here as one of the all-time great Twilight Zones. For me, will the real Martian please stand up? That is an absolute banger top 10 episode in my humble opinion. Love this one too. Okay, awesome. In my top two, Sebastian Cabot hosted a creepy show in the early 70s called Ghost Story. A few of the episodes are on YouTube. I'll have to see that. That's really cool. Jack Elam was a wonderful character actor. He really was. He was so good in this too. Jack Elam would always play the prosecutor type guy back in the day. Did he really? He's money in this as the guy that he's like the main red herring. They really want you to think it's him. But you just know it's not because he has so much personality. You're like, no Martian would have this much personality. Love the twist on the ending. Me too, because, one of them had to be a Martian, but never would have suspected or known or even thought that the guy behind the counter was from Venus. And the whole laughing at the guy is like, yeah, your fucking colony is screwed. Like, they're not coming. I love how he breaks the news to him. Jespel, holy shit. Jespel, this episode is all about making Faust bargaining because the woman is willing to have the guy all for herself that she makes the deal with. Right, with Anne Francis. That's the one with Anne Francis no one really remembers. It's an hour-long episode where she woos this guy. She goes to this witch doctor because this guy that she loves is going to marry someone else. And she basically does this whole love potion thing on him. But the cost of it is every night she turns into this panther. and starts like killing and mauling people. Check him for wings. Check him for wings. Look under their coats. Yes, oh man, it's great. How many legs? How many legs? Great. Just fucking so good, man. Jackie Lim is electric here. Hey, Grande, welcome Kubrick. Welcome Kubrick. Hope all is well with you. People saying hi on one another. Yeah, so that is number 6. Will the Real Martian please stand up? One of the best. Definitely one of the best. As we're already there. We're already in the top 5, guys. This is flying by fast. This is one that may be controversial. I don't know. Because when people think of William Shatner in this show, you think of one episode. You think of Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. That one's fine. That one's great too. But in my humble opinion, coming in at number 5, this is the better Shatner episode of the 2. I'm talking about Nick of Time. Yes, Nick of Time, of course, from season 2, episode number 7. Brief plot synopsis. A pair of newlyweds stopping in a small town are trapped by their own superstitions while playing with a fortune-telling machine in a local diner. Yes, Nick of Time. This was a Richard Matheson joint, which was actually based on a real-life story that he had gone through with he and his wife when he was traveling cross-country, and they came across a similar device or machine in a diner. We follow William Shatner, who, I mean, I always really liked, and I think this is one of his best performances as this man who is, of course, newlywed with his wife, who's played by Patricia Breslin. If you don't know Patricia Breslin, she would go on to marry, I think, Jim Irsay, who, of course, was part owner of the Colts. Or he might even been the owner of the Colts. So I thought that was a weird fun fact that, yeah, this lady went on to marry Jim Irsay. Weird. But, of course, this newlywed couple, their smiles, they're happy. They are talking about the fact that William Shatner may get this job promotion, and he's very excited. Their car breaks down in this little town called Ridgeview, Ohio. And they decide, okay, it's going to be about 4 hours until our car is fixed. Why don't we get a bite to eat in a local diner? So they walk by to the Bumblebee Cafe, and they walk in, and of course they sit down, and there's this little fortune-telling machine there with the devil's head on it. And for 1 penny, the price of 1 penny, you can ask this a yes or no question and look into the future. And Shatner immediately sits down, is infatuated by the thing. He goes, "Hey man, let's play with this. Let's use our pennies. Let's ask it some questions." And he starts to ask it questions, and you realize that these questions, the answers to his questions, are not anything coincidental. They all seem to fit. All the answers seem to work. And we watch Shatner initially asking, "Will I get my promotion?" And it says it's been decided in your favor. So he goes and phones home to see, has it really been decided in my favor? And they said, "Listen, yeah, it's been decided in your favor. You got the promotion." And Shatner's excited. "Hey, let's celebrate. Here's a dime for the jukebox." As he sits back down, they order their lunch, and he starts asking it more questions. And of course, it gets to the point of, he asks the machine, "Do you think our car will be fixed by a certain time? Yes or no?" And the machine basically says, "Don't leave, until after 3:00. You'll be in your best interest to leave after 3:00. And he's like, "Something bad might happen to us?" And the machine is telling him, yes, like something bad will happen to you if you leave this place before 3:00. And so Shatner starts freaking out and stalling. He doesn't want to finish his food all that quickly. And it's 3:00 is rolling around. And Patricia Breslin's like, "Come on, let's go. Like, we're done. What are you stalling for? What are you waiting?" He's like, "Don't you want ice cream? Don't you want a cold glass of water to drink?" He's trying to convince her to stay. And she's like, "Listen, you can't let this thing fool you into thinking there's something wrong if we leave here earlier than it says. Like, let's get out of here." So they leave. They get out of the diner, and what happens is they're crossing the street, and they almost get run over by this giant truck. And they're both like very shaken up, and their hearts are pounding. And you look up at the clock, it says 3:00. And he's like, "The machine was right. It told us everything. It told us not to leave. And that was why we would have got killed if we didn't make it across the street in time." And he and the wife go back, and basically the whole idea of the episode is the praying of one who is super superstitious. And I love how this is acted by Shatner as this guy who has everything at his fingertips: a beautiful newlywed, a job promotion, a nice car, a nice life. Everything is working in his favor. But all of a sudden, he's become infatuated with this machine that he feels can predict his entire future just by giving it a penny, just by asking it these simple questions of yes or no. And I love how he slowly but surely loses himself in this machine. He's obsessed with it. He has to get the answers. And she's trying to convince him These are just, it's just a napkin holder. Like, what are you going crazy about? And he goes, all right, you don't believe me? You ask it the questions. You go for it. So she starts asking questions like, will I ever be married? And of course, the answer to that is obvious. Is it true that you're just a stupid piece of junk? It all depends upon your point of view. I love the back and forth where she's getting so angry at this machine and him for getting, into it. She's like, you can't let this thing run your life. And the whole message I love to this is, you can't let things run your life. You have to live your life to its fullest. You can't just, live in fear and superstition of things that may or may not happen. You've got to live and move ahead with a straight mind and a clear mind and a good head on your shoulders, right? And this is something that he has, and she has to talk him out of it, and convince him that this isn't everything. This doesn't have the answers for you. And I love how Shatner's, grabs her before she starts to walk out. And he goes, what if it's true? What if it really does predict our future? What if it's real? And she goes, I want to leave, especially if it's real, especially if this is what's really going on. And they really worked. I really liked them as a couple. I thought I bought them hook, line, and sinker. They were working like perfect together. It was like a really good chemistry, I thought. As, of course, he gets up and decides she's right. We'll go where we want to go. We'll live where we want to live because it's our lives to live, not yours. And we're not going to be enslaved by superstition just because you've been right about a lot of these other things. So he and her walk out and their car gets fixed and they drive home happily ever after. But what we see also is another couple walk in and they sit down at the same table, and you see that they've been enslaved by the superstitious machine. This machine has run their lives now. Do you think we might leave Ridgeview today? Do you think there's any way out? Any way at all? This guy's pleading to this napkin holder in the middle of this fucking diner. And it goes to show you there are one of two couples, right? There's a couple that will face their lives with no superstition, no fear, but with an optimistic attitude and mentality, whereas these other people, this other couple, they'll face it with fear. They'll face every decision with hesitation, and they'll not live their lives to their fullest because of that fear of superstition. I think this one is great. I really, really do. I always thought this was just a tremendous episode. The acting all around is great. Richard Matheson was just a once-in-a-lifetime type of writing talent. I think he just was so good at to take something that he had experienced in his real life and make this episode of it. I just love. And the whole napkin holder, the design of it himself, granted, I don't have a great picture of it here, but the whole idea of the napkin holder and the devil, the little devil bobblehead nodding, I thought that was great. I saw, in fact, a replica of one, and it was in this place called Fantastic Toyage, and I went there and I saw the replica, and the guy was like, you want to see how it works? He's like I got pennies. And I was like, no fucking way. So we put it out on the counter, and I put the penny in and asked it a question. You pull the lever and the card comes out. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I was like, I gotta buy this. So I asked the guy, how much? He goes, oh, it'd be $900. I was like, $900 fucking dollars for a napkin holder. Holy shit. I was like, buddy, you keep this. And he's like, oh, you can play it in installments if you want. I was like, dude, $900? Fuck, like, that's insane. I mean, it was cool, don't get me wrong, but there are only so many things that are cool enough for $900. I was like, buddy, you can put that away and it's going to collect dust, because I don't think anybody's is insane enough to buy that. Like $100, $200 I could have seen. 900? I was like, buddy, you are on fucking cocaine, buddy. I don't know, just absolutely crazy. But Nick of Time is one that I've always really, really loved. That is just absolutely one that needs to get more love, in my humble opinion. Where were we? The bobblehead in the diner. Absolutely. Yes, that's the one. Richard Matheson I agree with you. Richard Matheson was a fantastic writer. He was truly once in a lifetime writer. Patricia Breslin is not still alive, unfortunately. Although William Shatner is. William Shatner's still kicking. It looks like, yeah, Shatner's in his 94. Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, he was great. He really was a good actor. When I watched this upon a rewatch, I was like, man, he is so good in this role. In this and in Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, right, where I'll see us crash first. And the whole, when they're trying to lull him into, we believe your story about the creature in the wing. We just don't want to frighten anybody. He's like, of course. And then he realizes, he goes, never mind. I'll see us die first. Like, I love his disdain of like, you motherfuckers. You think you're outsmarting me? Love that stuff, man. Shatner is money. And I like this performance even better, though. A guy that has everything and starts to get eaten alive by his own superstitions and listens to a napkin holder in a weird diner in Ridgeview, Ohio. Simple, weird, obscure, but effective. And that's the type of Twilight Zone that I like. Pandora's box sort of thing. Absolutely. The fortune teller machine makes me think of the Magic 8 Ball, which was very popular during the 1970s, which is definitely a more safe solution to ask the future, to shake the 8 ball, as opposed to giving a penny for each question and then becoming crazed. Let's see. Do you think? Oh, okay. The Raps have made a triumphant return. Many of the actors who appeared on Batman were also in the Twilight Zone. This episode also had Stafford Rep, who played Cheat O'Hara. Okay. Grande, I have this. You do have 900 to spare, but if you have 900 to spare, buy yourself something nice. Did you say something about Michael Madsen at the beginning that I lost? I didn't. I didn't mention that Michael Madsen had passed away, but I will right now. It's really sad. The guy was only 67 years old, a truly fantastic, phenomenal character actor. I was really sad when I saw it. And I immediately sent to Mateo, because I know Mateo was telling me that when we reviewed Reservoir Dogs on the Tarantino show, that his favorite performance in that movie was Michael Madsen as Mr. Blonde. He loves Michael Madsen. Are you going to bark all day, doggy, or are you going to bite? And of course, it's not just that, but there's so many other great Michael Madsen roles. It's really sad that we lost him so young. So rest in peace, Michael Madsen. I should have mentioned something at the beginning, but honestly slipped my mind. $900 would be like, I was like, no way, man. Absolutely no goddamn way. Yeah, way too young. He died way too young. But let's move on, of course, into our next episode as Nick of Time starts the top 5. We move on to our next episode on the list, of course, which is actually just 2 episodes prior. It's funny. You have season 2, episode 7, and now we're at season 2, I believe, episode number 5. Yes, season 2, episode number 5, coming in at number 4. The Howling Man. Yes, the Howling Man. Brief plot synopsis. Seeking refuge from a storm, a traveler comes upon a bizarre abbey of monks who have imprisoned a man who begs for his help. When he confronts the head monk, he is told that the man is the devil, and he must decide whom to believe. Now, this one, again, another Charles Beaumont joint. This one is great from the technical standpoint. Now, so far, there have been good technical ones that I've neglected to mention. So like Don Medford, great directors like that. John Brom, some really good veteran Twilight Zone directors. So don't, pay any mind if I haven't mentioned all of them on each episode here. But I really want to mention this one because he was my favorite of all the Twilight Zone directors, was Douglas Hayes. Douglas Hayes was just tremendous from a visual standpoint and always brought something unique stylistically to an otherwise stagnantly shot show, right? This is a TV show. This is something that they're not going to go hardcore with angles and Dutch angles and things like that, but they really do with this particular one. And of course, Douglas Hayes is the biggest reason for that. Douglas Hayes directs this episode, and we open up on this incredible close-up from our lead actor, who of course is played by H.M. Wynant. He plays the lead here, Mr. Ellington, as he is talking directly to the camera, breaking the fourth wall. It's this dark, stormy night, and he's discussing something from the past, right? He's discussing this night that happened to him long, long ago, and I was warned, but I didn't listen. And we flash back to this night that he's describing, and it's this dark, stormy night. He comes upon this monk's ministry, if you will, and he knocks on the door. He's tired, he's fatigued, he's soaked, he's just completely, like, it almost feels like he has vertigo, the way they shoot it. Everything's on a Dutch angle. Everything's on a side or a tilt to kind of make you feel off with your equilibrium and sort of off ease, if you will. He walks in there and hits the deck. He's like, please, can I stay for the night? I really need to stay. I'm sick. I don't feel well. And he hits the deck. He just completely hits the deck as they're telling him, no, you can't stay here. He faints and collapses. And they wake him up, and he's like, oh my gosh, sorry. I'm just so sick. I don't feel right. Something's wrong. And they say to him, listen, we'll be nice and we'll let you stay here, but you have to ignore the howling. You can't react to it. You can't go by this door. Don't react to it, and we can let you stay here. And of course, the lead guy, Brother Jerome, if you will, is played by John Carradine, who, of course, from the famed Carradine acting family. He's Brother Jerome here, the head monk at this place. And every now and then, we hear this awful howling. Woo! We hear it throughout the episode. And they're like, what the fuck? What is that noise? As he walks over to this cage door, which is the picture that I picked here. And you see this man that's in this locked room. And it's not locked with bars or bolts or chains. It's barred with the staff of truth. And it's just a little cane. And we watch as this actor, who, of course, Robin Hughes is the actor, who does, I think, one of the all-time great Twilight Zone performances, pleads his case to this guy to let him out. Listen, these people are mad. They're stark raving mad. I say they're not evil. I tell you they're mad. He's begging, Mr. Ellington, please let me out. And you hear his story. And to me, that's the highlight of the episode, is Robin Hughes' performance, telling you about his life, his time, and how he was taken by these monks and locked up in this cage. And you hear his side of the story. I ask you, sir, is it wrong to kiss a woman? No, of course you know it's not. But there I was, my woman and I, we were holding hands, and we stopped to rest by a tree. I ask you, sir, is it wrong to kiss a woman? And they stopped me, and they grabbed me, and they threw me in this dungeon, and now here I am. I'm locked against my own free will. You've got to help me. You've got to let me out. And he's begging to him. And to me, it's a great what's going on. When the first time you see, if you don't know how it plays out, I want to believe him. It's so sincere feeling. It's so genuinely and organically delivered by Robin Hughes, where he paints pictures with words so nice and elegantly. You could see that afternoon where he's walking with his lover and kissed under the tree and was banned for it. And he's, please let me out. And of course, he's like, I don't know what to do. He goes up to John Carradine and he says, what are you doing with that guy? Like, let him out. What the hell is wrong with you? And John Carradine says, listen, I'll have to explain it to you then. The man in that cell is no man. He's the devil himself. As we get this great lightning strike and flashbulb, as he says it, we cut to commercial. It's great. It's the whole 9 yards. John Carradine cuts this incredible fucking promo about the devil, about where the devil lurks, right? Wherever there was sin, wherever there was strife, wherever there was hate, wherever there was corruption, he was there. It may not have been at the forefront. He may have been a face in the crowd, an innocent bystander. He was there, the devil. And he explains how all of the bad things that happen in life, whether they be hate, sin, corruption, strife, what have you, the devil is always there, pulling the strings, if you will. He's always there, the proverbial chess master, making these pivotal moves to cause havoc, chaos, and monstrosity. And that's what the devil does. You can always try to catch the devil, but you can't keep him long. And the whole idea now is, does Ellington believe Carradine that the man locked up, Robin Hughes, is the devil, or does he believe Robin Hughes' story about his innocence, about his pleas, about, him wanting to be in love with his lover? What does he do? And Ellington is this character that's very conflicted. As we hear these howls throughout the castle, he decides to steal this key, unlocks the door where he's in. He goes up and says, hey, I'm going to let you out. I'm going to let you out. He's like, please hurry, quick. There's no time. Let me out. And he sees that all that holds him in is this like wooden staff. He's like, you couldn't just remove this yourself? And that should have been clue number one. But he's like, no, please, just do it. Just do it. He opens it and gives the guy the cloak. And all of a sudden, Robin Hughes kind of uses the force on him and he falls down, as we see that Robin Hughes is, in fact, this devil monster that John Carradine was saying that he was. And as we watch, he goes from pillar to pillar as he slowly but surely starts to transform physically into the devil. We see the horns grow after every pillar more and more and more. And I did that by applying more makeup after each pillar, only till he gets to the final pillar, he's fully transformed as the devil and disappears. I thought that was great. And I know that apparently Matheson didn't want that. Matheson said that's so cheesy. Don't do that. Matheson also wanted the cross to hold him in as opposed to the staff of truth. But of course, the CBS officials were scared they were going to piss off the Roman Catholics. So they were like, let's not do that. Let's just do the fucking staff of truth, which that, of course, won out. And then, of course, the makeup effect was Douglas Hayes. He was like, he's such a visual director. You can't tell Douglas Hayes no to that. And Douglas Hayes and him argued about it, but Douglas Hayes ultimately got his way. And I think that adds so much to the episode. They get these great eye contacts to make it look like he's turned, and the horns grow a little bit longer and longer until he's fully turned to the devil and disappears. And of course, Brother Jerome comes up to Ellington and goes, boy, I'm sorry for you. You're going to regret what you've done for the rest of your life. And Ellington looks at him and says, I just didn't recognize him. I'm sorry. And the episode ends where we're back in the apartment. He's telling the story to this woman. He's like, I've caught him. He's here. He see that he's locked him up in the closet. He caught the devil again. And I'm going to get Brother Jerome. Please don't, no matter what you hear, don't open this door. Don't do it. And of course, the minute he leaves, the woman hears the howls and she opens the door. And of course, the ancient folk saying, you can catch the devil, but you can't hold him long. One of the most perfect episodes of television in the history of any show. It is perfect. The actors are great. Carradine, fucking Robin Hughes is electric here. He also was in some B horror pictures in the 50s as the man who couldn't die, or the thing that couldn't die. He plays the thing that couldn't die. Robin Hughes is tremendous here. And to me, the greatest all-time performance of someone playing the devil from, written to screen, it's his performance. He's so good because, again, you believe him. It's so earnest the way he explains it. There's no snake or slime. It just feels like an honest-to-God man who, of course, in fact, is the devil. I love this one. To me, The Howling Man, slam dunk, one of the all-time greats. And it's crazy because it's only at number 4. It's crazy. Let's see. This one is awesome, I think. I agree. I think this one's awesome, too. The ending where the maid is about to unlock the door leaves it as a cliffhanger. Well, she's opening that door for sure. But it just goes to show you that you can't you catch them, but you can't. Bonnie L. Bailey. Holy cow. This is an Alpha Romero alum. Welcome, Bonnie. This is, I think, the first time ever you've been in Grande's Graveyard. Welcome, my friend. Hope all is well with you. I love in Stars, The Howling Man. The reveal from The Usual Suspects reminds me of this episode, the way he walked. Yes. Yeah, that's a great point. Yes. Of course, the Kevin Spacey character, and there was the line in that, the greatest thing the devil he ever did was make you all believe he didn't exist. That's the whole line there, which is this one is you can catch him, but you can't hold him long. Really good stuff. That's a great analogy. I never thought of that. But welcome, Bonnie. I'm happy to have you here. Yep, Fred. Many of the movies, old and new, that we watch were inspired by Twilight Zones, like Mirror Image. That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, it's crazy how much influence has been taken from the show, and understandably so. This is a show with 156 episodes. And I've rated over 20 of them at a 10. Like, that's, how crazy that is for a quantity of a pool that big to have 20 or more perfect ones is truly crazy. And to narrow those 20 plus down to 10, I mean, you're just asking for the hardest job in America here as we move on to the top 3 now. Top 3, drum roll, everybody. Top 3 time. A Game of Pool coming in at number 3. And we've got the brief plot synopsis here. Frustrated pool champion Jesse Cardiff has beaten everyone except for the deceased James Howard Fats Brown. Jesse can only curse his name, but guess who just walked into the pool room on Randolph Street? Yes, A Game of Pool. Now, of course, this is a 2-man show. This is the 2 guys that you see right there, forefront and center, Jack Klugman and Jonathan Winters. And Jack Klugman, of course, he and Burgess Meredith had done the most Twilight Zones as the lead. They both did 4 separate zones as the lead actor. And to me, they're the MVPs of the zone. I actually like to think of Jack Klugman as the best lead Twilight Zone actor. It's him or Burgess for me. And Jack Klugman plays this guy that is absolutely hungry and determined to be the best pool player on Randolph Street. And he's eaten alive every day because for 15 years, he's been told time and time again that you're good, you're great, you're fantastic. But Fats was better. Fats was the best. And of course, Fats is this deceased pool player that's played by none other than Jonathan Winters. And Jonathan Winters was mainly and almost always his entire career known as a comedic actor, known as a stand-up comedian. Of course, Mirth from Earth, for any of my Mork and Mindy fans out there. Jonathan Winters was everywhere. Jonathan Winters was almost always comic relief. And the producer, Buck Houghton, he didn't want anything to do with Jonathan Winters for this. Jonathan Winters can't do it. Jonathan Winters is just not this type of serious, dramatic actor. We don't want him. And then, of course, Jonathan Winters went in and auditioned for it. And Buck Houghton apparently was so impressed that he said, I'm sorry I said these things, admitted he was wrong to Winters, and cast him in the role as Fats Brown, this past champion, this pool champion from Randolph Street that was the best ever. And of course, Jesse Cardiff starts screaming, and I'll give anything to play him, anything, just one game, one lousy game at your service. And of course, Jonathan Winters shows up and challenges him to a game. And it's not just the whole idea of, you beat me, you're better than me, you're the greatest. It's, if you beat me, you live. If you lose, you die. And these are the stakes. And we watch as these 2 guys not only play a game of pool over life or death, but we watch as they discuss the importance of life itself. And I think that's the beauty of this entire episode. It's a great two-man show. Of course, it was written by George Clayton Johnson, who I know had some objections to how the episode plays out, especially the ending. He did not like that Rod Serling changed it on him. We'll get there. But the entire episode as itself, to me, is a great social commentary on the importances of life and the importances of, hey, it's nice to have ambitions. It's nice to have hobbies. But at the same time, it's also good to live your life around these ambitions, around these hobbies. It's good to want to be the best at anything. It's good to get challenges. But at the same time, you've got to take out time to live too. And as they're playing, Jesse is just getting up close and personal about it and saying, guys like you, they always want to make me feel this big, and they were good at things like basketball or arithmetic or sports or anything. And he goes, and one day I wandered into here and I loved the atmosphere. It was cool. It was dark. And the first time I ever played, I grabbed an old man off the side and I said, hey, mister, you want to play? And the first time I ever played him, I beat him. Yeah, I showed him. I showed all of them, because pool to him is not a nice, friendly game. It's a win at any cost affair. And I love how Klugman plays this disgruntled man who just cannot stomach the reputation of a legend. You're like all other legends. You live on a reputation. You're just a big balloon waiting for someone to stick a needle in it. I'm the someone, here's the needle. And I love his determination of, I'm going to beat you and show you that I'm the man. I'm the best pool player on Randolph Street. Not you, it's me. And Fats tries to fucking level with him. Like, listen, man, I know I may not look the part, but I walked uphill. I made love. I swam in the ocean. I loved this game. It was my life. I made my living doing this, but I took out time to live too. And that's sometimes what people miss. You miss the whole idea of, hey, I want to be the best at this. I'm going to devote all my time to it. But you also have to take out time for yourself, time to do other things that are also important to you. Like, perfect example, I'll say it perfectly for you here. I love Grande's Graveyard. I love what I do. I love the people that watch this, whether it be live, whether it be a replay. I'm humbled that there's one of you, let alone 14 currently, and hopefully a bunch more in the replay or what have you. I love what I do. I prepare a lot for what I do. I like to watch all these episodes, read all these articles, be as prepared as humanly possible for this, and also bring as much energy as I can each and every week. That's my goal. That's what I try. But again, you have to take out time to live too. This is my number one hobby, and I love this. I love doing this. But you have to live your life at the same time as well. You have to go out and do things, because it goes back to, even I always point at the Good Will Hunting thing, right? Like, the whole, would have been pretty nice to see that fucking game, right? But I had to go see about a girl. Sometimes there are things that are more important than your passions, your hobbies, your ambitions, and your desires to be the best, or to be the best you that you could be. And that's what Fats is trying to tell him. He's like, listen, this is what it is. Like, it pains me to see you wasting your life away in this miserable, dark hall. Like, you've got to get out. You've got to be to the movies. You've got to date women. You've got to do things. And that's why I love his whole argument to him. Like, listen, I respect this, but there's got to be a line. And he tells him that. And there's the whole clashing heads there where they're going at each other. And I love that as they're playing back and forth. And it's intense. You feel the sweat and the perspiration dripping off them in this room as they're playing a game that is going to decide their lives. It all comes down to one final ball, one final shot. Fats misses, and it's a wide open pocket hanger for Jesse. And Jesse knows he's won. He's gloating about it and saying that, it couldn't just be nice and friendly. You had to make my life on the line, blah, blah, blah. He goes up in his face and things like that. And Fats says before he shoots, he goes, before you shoot, I need to tell you that you'll win more than you bargained for if you sink it. And he goes, there's nothing you could do or say will stop me from it. And he shoots the ball in and wins. And he's like, I'm going to live and I'm the best. Those were the stakes. And Fats says, of course you are. Those were the stakes. And, he walks out and he just disappears. And Jack Klugman is kind of confused. Well, what happened? What, come on. And we see what happens is, if you are the best at something, you always have to come back and defend your crown as the best of all time, even in the afterlife. And we see Jack Klugman shooting pool balls in the afterlife in this really cool visual, and he looks like he's shooting pool in the clouds. And they call him Jesse Cardiff, report to Ohio, and he goes over to defend his crown of being the greatest. And of course, Rod Serling's narration says, Fats Brown, having relinquished the title of greatest of all time, has gone fishing. Now he's enjoying his life in the afterlife the way he wanted to. Yeah, is it the greatest to be good to be the greatest at something? Absolutely. Can you take pride in that? Absolutely. But your ambition and goal, if you're somebody like that, if you're somebody that is the greatest, is what Winter says. He says, you want someone to best you. You want someone to take what you've done and make it better. That's the whole psychology of it. Yeah, Babe Ruth at a time was the best baseball player of all time, but I'm sure he was thrilled when Hank Aaron broke that record. Now you're the best, kid. You took what I did, you made it better, and so on and so forth with players that we watch play baseball now. There's always the idea and the questions. Well, who would have won, Ali or Frazier? Well, who would have won, the Rock or Hulk Hogan? And we got to see that one. Who would have won, LeBron or Jordan? There's all these comparisons, or who was the greatest if we could see it. And a game of pool, if you will, is sort of an episode about that. Is the yin versus yang. Who is the best, and how far is too far to go for winning and being the best at something. I think this is one of the all-time great episodes of television as well. To get somebody like Jonathan Winters to deliver this dramatic performance and actually steal the show away from Jack Klugman, who is great. I don't care what anybody says. I've heard people say he overacts. I'm sorry. Jack Klugman is absolutely great here, as he is in everything else. I love both of these guys. I love a game of pool. Just one of my all-time favorite Twilight Zone episodes. Let's get back to comments, though. Let's see what y'all have to say. I think we were... Here, drum roll. Okay, Christopher, I turned on the Mets game in the 6th inning, and they scored. Buddy, you're a good luck charm. I don't know if you know this, but you are a good luck charm. Klugman and Winters are great. I agree. I think they really elevate this episode. Like to me, there's a great Tales on the Dark Side that's similar to this too, with Danny Aiello and Tom Noonan, called The Odds, and it's very similar. It's really mostly a two-man show of two guys just going back and forth talking about life. And they somehow make it so incredibly engaging and intense. And you, like I said, you feel the hot heat in that room, the lamp of the pool hall. It's just, oh man, it's so well done. I love how their performances kind of matched. They had great chemistry. It's amazing how this episode came out the same year as the class movie. And it's funny you mentioned that, Slasher Fred. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they came out like weeks apart. Because I checked. I was curious. I was like, which one came out first? I believe this came out first. I'm not 100% sure. I forget off the top of my head. But I know they were super close. So they must have been shot around the same time, which is funny. And as much as I love The Hustler, give me a game of pool, baby. I'm glad you're here, Grande. Well, thank you so much. That's very nice of you to say. We love you, Grande. Thank you. I love you guys too, honestly. A weird comparison, I'm sure, but it's the truth. It's like, I guess, just a part of the point I'm trying to make. Like, yeah, anybody that's trying to be great at something, no matter what your hobby is or no matter what you love to do, it's great to devote a lot of time to it, but you've got to take time out to do other things, because too much of one thing, it can just become a negative, unfortunately. It's amazing how billiards is a game for both child and adult, but back then it was something that was only for adults. Now, yeah, I mean, I love playing billiards, so maybe that's another thing that endears me to this episode. A big hobby I have, I love to shoot billiards. I love to go to the pool hall and shoot pool. I just love it. It's funny, for someone who does not smoke or drink, I love all the atmospherical environments that have smoking and drinking. I love a casino. I love a poker room. I love a fucking billiards hall. Love all of it. Love it. I just love the atmosphere of it. It just makes me feel cozy for some reason, but that's what I love about it. So, this is game of pool is totally in my wheelhouse. Chris saying hi to Kubrick. You are under contract, Grande. You can only talk about certain things. It says so in the YouTube terms. I'm kidding. Yes, no, I mean, imagine if I had like these pig bosses breathing on my neck and that you can only talk about this, sir. Like that would be terrible. Lord Freeze, it's been a while. Lord Freeze, welcome. Crushed by the news of Michael Madsen's passing. One of the most likable actors ever. Yeah, I agree. I just mentioned just an episode or two ago that we had missed Michael Madsen. So RIP, I think over 200 or 300 acting credits. just a legend. It's sad to see him go. Too young, too. 67 is too damn young. Like, I was really sad when I heard that. So R.I.P. to Michael Madsen. And welcome, Lord Freeze. Good to see you. What is favorite movie set in the world of pool? Well, The Color of Money is fucking great. I love that. I love Pool Hall Junkies. I love The Hustler. I think you have to go with The Hustler, I think, right? Those are the top three. It's The Color of Money, it's Pool Hole Junkies, it's The Hustler. I think those are the best three pool movies. But there's tons. There's ones I'm probably forgetting. 3-1 Mets. Thank you guys for the live Mets score. I appreciate it. Who would have won? Ali Frazier, Han Solo. Depends on fate. Oh boy, the raps. I don't drink or smoke either. Yeah, no, it's weird. Like, you wouldn't think I'm into any of that stuff. But there I am. I'm always in those atmospheres. See, I do love soda. I'm a big soda guy. What up, Grande? Welcome, Kal-El Daly. Superman movie coming out soon, Kal-El Daly. I'm sure you're aware. Color of Money is sequel to Hustler. Right, with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman reprising the role. I love The Hustler. It's a great movie for sure. And it's funny because they have Minnesota Fats in that, which is basically the same character that Jonathan Winter's playing. But Jonathan Winters, I don't think could be touched. His performance is an all-time performance to me. He should have won an Emmy, and that's how strong I feel about it. But we're here, guys. The top two. After number 2, we'll do our honorable mentions, and then after number 1, we'll do bottom 5, and we'll call it. But this has been a fun show. We go as late as possible. I don't have work tomorrow, so very beautiful thing about having a holiday tomorrow. Coming in at number 2, it's my favorite episode from the first season. It's season 1, episode 16. I'm talking about The Hitchhiker. Yes, The Hitchhiker from season 1, episode 16. Brief plot synopsis. A young woman driving across the country from east to west becomes frantic when she keeps passing the same man on the side of the road. No matter how fast she drives, the man is always up ahead trying to hitch a ride. Yes, The Hitchhiker. I mean, to me, a show that is more known for science fiction elements. A lot of people, when you think Twilight Zone, a lot of people say sci-fi. That's more of a sci-fi show. And that's fine if you feel that way. I always felt this was more for me, being a horror movie fan, right? I always saw this show as more of a horror show. Now, granted, there's a ton of sci-fi episodes, a ton of horror episodes. It depends. There's comedic episodes. There's whatever, you want to touch around the gambit. But when it comes to the genre of horror, I don't think there is a better episode when you're talking about horror than this episode right here, The Hitchhiker. It is tremendous from beginning to end, from every single aspect. The direction, the performances, the writing, the psychology, the direction from Alvin Ganzer. It's tremendous. Now, I'll give you a little bit of backstory on the original story, which was a radio drama, which was written by Louise Fletcher. Now, Louise Fletcher, Lucille Fletcher, not Louise Fletcher. Lucille Fletcher. Lucille, where the hell's Little Richard at? Lucille Fletcher was the writer of the radio drama. And the radio drama was voiced by none other than Orson Welles. So everybody remembers War of the Worlds, but nobody quite remembers The Hitchhiker. Well, somebody did. Rod Serling remembered The Hitchhiker that was voiced by him. And he was like, man, if I ever had my own show, I'd have to do an episode based off that story. It just creeped him out so bad. And of course, the writer, Lucille Fletcher, she go on to marry Bernard Hopkins. And Bernard Hopkins was one of the composers for this show. And in fact, some of his music shows up in this episode. So funny enough, Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Herrmann is her husband. Sorry, I keep messing up names. Barely, but I do. Bernard Herrmann is the musical producer here. As this was his wife, and Rod took the teleplay, switched some things around. They turned the lead from a male to a female. And of course, in steps Inger Stevens, who we see here smiling here on the front. And Inger Stevens, man, when I think of a talent that I really, really liked, Inger Stevens is one of them. Not just a beautiful looking person, but, I know she did some modeling. I know she unfortunately met a really odd death. Now, if you want to read some crazy shit, look up how this woman died, of course, because it is absolutely terrifying. Inger Stevens, look up and Google how she died. I'm almost convinced there was foul play there. She died at like 35 years old. They say it was an accidental suicide. I don't believe it for a second. I do think there was some foul play. And that also adds something for me for this episode of how eerie her life death was in real life. And then, of course, this entire episode. Now, we open, of course, as Nan Adams. She is getting her tire repaired on the side of the road. And this is the image that we see, of course. She's smiling at the guy that's changing her tire. And, of course, he's changing her tire, and he says something like, hey, it's pretty rare going 65 miles per hour. You get a tire blowout and you're in one piece. Lady, you're on the side of the angels. And of course, she smiles, thanks the guy, and gets back in the car. And she looks ahead and she sees this creepy, mysterious man who, of course, is this hitchhiker. And he's just looking for a ride. And he kind of puts up his thumb like, well, give me a ride, lady, please. And she kind of looks and just keeps driving along to the gas station to pay this guy that helped her fix the car. But we hear Rod Serling's narration. Nan Adams, 27 years old, is traveling from Manhattan to California to go see her mother, and from this point on, the terror that she will experience can only be imagined in the Twilight Zone. And we watch this woman as she travels from east to west coast throughout the episode, and she is constantly stalked by this hitchhiker. And the hitchhiker, of course, is played by Leonard Strong, who just does a great job at selling the fear. And he has this little hat on and this mischievous face and this kind of thumbs up like, come on, lady, let me in. But he doesn't say all that much, and she's freaked out, and she'll start asking people, hey, do you see that creepy guy over there? What a weird hitchhiker that guy is. And they're like, who? What are you talking about? I don't see anybody. And she's trying to figure out and convince herself how this is happening and what's going on. She'll go to rest stop to rest stop, stop for food, then eat, stop for food, then eat, and keep driving. I've gone 3 days without sleeping. She narrates a lot of this episode like it's a radio drama, which I thought was a nice nod to the old radio drama that Orson Welles had read from the original 40s, I think. We watch her as she's going from place to place, and the hitchhiker keeps finding these interesting ways to kind of pop up and scare her. There's a great point where she goes to this roadblock, and the hitchhiker pops up out of nowhere behind him, and he's like, heading west? She's like, no, not at all. I'm not heading west. No, not me. She's all frantic and panicked, and he starts to ask her more questions, and she takes off and goes right through the roadblock. And they're like, lady, stop. The road's blocked off. And she just keeps driving. She's like, hell no, I'm not stopping. This son of a bitch is keeping up with me. And she's trying to figure it out. She's like, how the hell could he keep sneaking up with me? One of the other best sequences is she's driving and she stops on the train tracks and she can't move the car. She's stuck in gears. And of course, she's looking and she sees the train in the distance coming slowly but surely for her. And she looks up in the front view, and the hitchhiker is right in front of her, smiling, watching her, almost laughing as she's trying to switch the gears from the car. And she finally gets out, and in the last second, the train passes and the hitchhiker's gone. And we get this great non-verbal acting from Inger Stevens that I think is super underrated, and to me really drives home a big part of this episode as well. Her whole idea of like, I don't know what to do. This is a woman that is truly a turmoil. You hear her narration. I don't know whether to turn back. I don't know whether to keep going. I don't know if I can stop. I don't know what to do. And she's breaking down physically, mentally, and psychologically before our eyes. This is a woman that is losing her mind as she's trying to drive home to Mommy Dearest. Really great nonverbal acting as she's just like doing this in the car and crying and like, what do I do? It all kind of leads up to her picking up this guy on the road, the sailor, who she tries to seduce, anything to just keep him in the car. And she starts to kind of try to drive the hitchhiker, drive into him, but he doesn't see anything. So he gets out and runs for the hills. And then she makes the fateful call home, where we get the fantastic twist where she calls home to Mom and, hi, can I speak with my mother? Oh, this is Mrs. Whitney. She can't come to the phone right now. She's had a nervous breakdown since the tragic death of her daughter, Nan. And she goes, what do you mean? What happened? And she goes, oh, well, her car turned over in Pennsylvania. She didn't make it. She died. And all of a sudden, Inger Stevens figures it out. She figures out that she's been dead this whole time. And they hinted at it the whole way, right? One of the first lines you hear in the episode is, lady, you're on the side of the angels. And you hear the whole, thing with the phone of being like, she's passed on, things like that. Like, it's so well done. It's so well written. It was all there the whole time if you're really paying attention to it. But she doesn't know. And then when she realizes it, she has this, again, incredible monologue as she walks back to the car, so defeated. I love her monologue. And I want to see if I can get that here, actually, because the monologue is just so good. I'm not sure if I can find it here. Yes, here it is. So very odd. The fear has left me now. I'm numb. I have no feeling. It's as if someone had pulled out some kind of plug in me, and everything, emotion, feeling, fear, it's all drained out. And now I'm a cold shell. I'm conscious of things around me. The vast night of Arizona. The stars look down from the darkness. Ahead of me, stretch of 1,000 miles of empty mesa, mountains, prairies, deserts. Somewhere among them, he's waiting for me. Somewhere I'll find out who he is. I'll find out what he wants, but just know for the first time, looking out at the night, I think I know. I think I know. And she sits back in the car, and who else is in the back seat but the hitchhiker? And she flips up the mirror, and he kind of points, I believe you're going my way. And the whole idea, the whole time hitchhikers do this is, I'm good. Pick me up. He was pointing up like, we're going to heaven, man. Like, I'm taking you to heaven. I'm here to take you up there. I mean, the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, like, holy shit. It was so mind blowing. I loved every second of it. And I thought the look on her face where she's just so defeated. Like, I almost fucking got there. I almost got home. Like, what would have happened? Nan Adams, age 27. She was driving home to California, to Los Angeles. She didn't make it. She took a detour in the Twilight Zone. Inger Stevens' acting is great. She's gone way too soon. May she rest in peace. I think this woman was beautiful, and I do believe there was foul play. I don't care what anybody says. I'm telling you, read into how she died, and it is some of the creepiest shit you'll ever read. But, man, and it makes this episode even more creepy because she died so young. But beautiful woman, gives great nonverbal performance here. Love the direction. I think this is one of the best Twilight Zones of all time. Has a very good argument to be number one. It's great. It's the best of the first season for me, but there's one more that I have above it. One more zone that we'll get into, but let's get to comments. Let's see what y'all have to say. I think we were here. Usually when you do your live streams, I've already hit the sack because it's different time zones. Oh, yeah, no doubt. But I still watch your stuff regularly, just later. Good to see you, dude. All the best to you. Dude, all the best to you, too. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything by that. It's always good to see, because I was like, I haven't seen Lord Fried in the live chat in a while. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I pay no attention to me. I forget the time zone things. Like, I know James Abernathy always tells me, he's like, oh, it's like really late in the UK, but I'll try to stay up and watch. I'm like, that's so nice. Like, dude, get your sleep and replay. Like, why not? Like, I appreciate the watches. I really do. Tom is here. Hi, all. Only one of my top 5 in your list of 10 so far. Time Enough at Last, Howling Man, The Grave, Night Call, and The Masks. The Mask is an honorable mention. We're going to get to honorable mentions before we get to number 1. So, Tom, welcome, my friend. Always good to see you in the house. And The Grave. Wow, The Grave. That's Lee Marvin joined. Really good. Wow, that's a fucking... Not a lot of people are going to say that one. That's also in the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books with Alvin Schwartz. That's a really deep cut. I like that one. Of all the ones you mentioned that I've seen are great, but didn't really tug at my heart, but an amazing top 10 nonetheless. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Daily reminder that Kevin Nash was... Whoa, okay. Big Daddy Bitch. Okay, whoa. Big Daddy Bitch. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, maybe my favorite. So it's funny. Big Daddy Bitch. Time Enough at Last. It's funny you mentioned that because, spoiler alert, that's not my number 1. Eye of the Beholder did not make the top 10. However, the episodes chronologically before and after it made it. Nick of Time and Howling Man are the episodes before and after. Those both made it, but not the Eye of the Beholder. So weird, but I love all. I think that's the best 3-episode stretch any show ever had, was those 3. Time Enough at Last, great one. The Mannequin Mask, good. Okay, so let's get to the honorable mentions, and then we'll get to number 1. Let me go full screen here. I'm not going to share visuals for this. I'm just going to go to my actual list here of honorable mentions. I have 8 honorable mentions, and we'll just run through them. I don't want to spend all night, unless you guys really want me to review all these too, but I don't want to spend all night doing that. Okay, so the 8 honorable mentions. First one is an underrated one called The Little People. This is with Joe Morose and Claude Atkins, and they're 2 astronauts that crash down on a planet, and they basically find this whole race of people that are no bigger than ants. And Joe Morose is sick of being second in command to Claude Atkins, and he slowly but surely loses his mind and becomes obsessed with power and control, and he wants to enslave these little people to make statues of him, and he starts to lose his mind, basically, as Claude Atkins tries to talk him out of it and says, listen, you'll go mad, buddy, like, don't do this. That's a great one that nobody really mentions. That's a total honorable mention. I always really liked that one. The next one, The Hunt, which is a great, if you're an animal lover, you need to stop what you're doing. You turned me off. Watch The Hunt. If you are a dog person, especially, The Hunt is the episode for you. It's this old man and his dog, and they go raccoon hunting. Yes, this is the 1960s. So they say they go coon hunting. They go raccoon hunting, and they basically die as they go to kill this raccoon, and they wake up, think everything's normal, and they don't realize that no one around them can see them. They're in the afterlife, and he's trying to talk to his wife, and he's seeing they're digging his grave, and he's like, oh my God, like, we're dead. We gotta go. So they start walking on this road, and they encounter this guy that claims to be the gatekeeper. And I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it, but basically there's a lot of twists and turns. And if you love dogs, you've got to watch The Hunt. I'm telling you, for any dog lover out there, The Hunt is one of the all-time best episodes. The Masks, one of my honorable mentions. Absolutely perfect episode. The writing of Rod Serling, the direction of Ida Lupino, the only woman to ever direct a Twilight Zone episode. She does a great job, and I think that Rod's script is flawless. The whole twist at the end of this must be death, and the whole now let's celebrate, and the makeup on their faces all contorted, and now they'll wear the masks of what was truly inside them. Great. The Masks just can't miss. It's a great episode, and Mardi Gras, just a great one. An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, which of course was made by Ambrose Bierce, was a short French film that they bought the rights to and aired as a Twilight Zone episode. It's about this man who's going to be hung, and the rope snaps at his execution, and he swims to safety, or so he thinks. It's a great episode, very, very minimal dialogue, but great music, great direction, and usage of sound. I love An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. A great short story for any English majors like me. If you're into short stories, that's a great, great, great short story, is An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. Ambrose Bierce, man, great, great, great stuff. The After Hours, of course, that one, it killed me not to have the After Hours on here. That's one of the best horror ones, where it's Anne Francis and every one of these women, they're mannequins. They get to leave their department to be a human for a month. And it makes you think, are these mannequins, do they have their turns and things like that? Great. Love the After Hours, a total creepy one. The Shelter, which I know really, really unpopular opinion here. Probably people dislike this video and unsubscribe to me. I like The Shelter more than Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. I always felt the Monsters Are Due on Maple Street was a little bit overrated because of how over the top it is. I think people get caught up on the message, which is a great message. It's delivered and executed far superior in The Shelter, in my opinion. It has so much to say about human nature and who we really are when the chips are down. I love The Shelter. Jack Albertson, of course, Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Great episode. The Shelter is one of my faves. Another honorable mention that I really love. Two more, and then we'll get to the number one. The New Exhibit is the only season 4 episode I have on here as the honorable mention. The New Exhibit is with Martin Balsam, and he is this guy that runs a exhibit for serial killers. He has all the Jack the Ripper and Burke and Hare and all these guys that killed people. And the factory is closing down. It's being taken over by this global conglomerate supermarket, and they take over, close it down, and the wax dummies are basically going to be left to be destroyed. And he says, no, I'm taking them home. So he takes them home, installs this air conditioner so that they'll stay. And then, of course, one by one, people in his house are getting picked off. His wife gets killed. Her brother gets killed. All these people start getting killed in the house. And you think it's these dummies that are doing it. It's these killer wax figures that are coming to life and strangling and killing these people. It's so good. It's so freaking scary. But then, of course, they have a big twist ending where Martin Balsam sort of becomes a part of it. I love that one. And the last honorable mention, this was the number 11. This was the bubble boy of the top 10 list. And it kills me that this couldn't make the top 10. And funny enough, I guess it's coming at number 11. It's number 12. Looks just like you. One of the all-time best. It killed. If I could do a top 11, this would have made it. I hate to leave this one off, but this one's great too. of course, the actress from To Kill a Mockingbird. She's the lead in this as this woman who is asked to conform to society and pick a body type. You are in the future and you could pick whatever body model type you want to live like. You could be number 12 or number 8 or number 4. You have all of that stuff that you can choose from. And then, of course, the big twist, is that they want you to conform to society. And she doesn't want to do it. I'm beautiful the way I am. I'm me the way I am. And then the whole idea is they aren't just changing your body. They're changing the way you think, and they're changing who you are, right? And that's why this world is doomed, because everyone has to conform to happiness, and happiness is defined by somebody else. It's not defined by you. What makes us beautiful are our differences, not our similarities. And then that's the whole episode on that. So I love that one too. That's another 10 out of 10. Those are my honorable mentions. I love a ton of these, don't get me wrong. It's a Good Life is great. Everyone knows that one. Walking Distance is great. Everyone knows that one. I don't want to just throw the ones at you that you all fucking know. I'm just giving you the ones that personally for me are just big standouts, and those are the ones that are. So we're going to get into the number one, but before we do that, comments, and then we're going to get into the absolute number one of all time. Mannequin, Mass is a good one too. That made it. Yes, Montreal Screwjob on Nash with a finger poke of doom on Nash. Come on. Love that one with Small People on Small Planet. That one, yeah, right? Isn't that one good? Joe Morose, man. He just loses his mind in it. I love one of my favorite Rod Serling outros is when he says, "This is the case where the man dies harder than the dream." I love that quote. It's so good because it's the truth. Like the dream, it was everything to him. And then, of course, when it's plucked away, it's just, the Yankees are in the Twilight Zone. Good. I hope they stay in the Twilight Zone. Go Blue Jays. I can't stand them Skankies. And we play their asses tomorrow. Granted, the Mets are in the Twilight Zone. If the fucking Yankees are in the Twilight Zone, the Mets are in the outer limits. Oh, the one with Agnes Moorehead and the Farmers. See, that one, it's okay. I've never loved that one like most people. The finale is fine. But, like, I don't know. That's not one of my favorite ones. That's one that I always would say is a little bit overrated. Steelers are in the Twilight Zone. Steelers are in fucking, I don't know where the Steelers are. They have not invented that dimension yet. The gangster who thinks he's in heaven with 3 hot women wins all the time and gambling, finds out he's in hell. I talked about that one. That one made the list. That one's number 8, or Nice Place to Visit might have been number 7. I think it's number 7. I had that on the list. That's number 7. That's a great episode. Greetings, Master Kubrick. Death's Head Revisited is one of the best episodes of the series. That was number 9. So all these people that are tuning in after, rewind it. I think you'll find some pleasant surprises at the beginning of the list. What about the one where the bad cowboy goes into the present day in the time machine? Oh man, that's Execution. That one's okay, but there's a really funny scene where he goes to a bar and he's seeing a TV for the first time and he sees like Western on. This guy draws. And so he gets out his gun and shoots the fucking TV. I thought that was great. Too many great ones. Just on sub, see, you say The Shelter's better than, I heard somebody say in one of the comments on one of the past ones, because I had said that on a past show. And the guy was like, "That's the worst take in the history of the internet." I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, "I'm so sorry," but that's how I feel. And it's not, I don't think it's that blasphemy of a take. The Shelter is like a 9. It's rated like a 9 out of 10. I think the Maple Street is a 9.1. So it's close. Season 4 didn't work. Season 4 sucks. Season 4 is the worst season. It's no doubt. It does. It worked better in the 25-minute format. It just did. In the movie The Lovely Bones, the scene where it appears that the little girl escaped from the killer is very similar to occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, which is a classic. I love that episode. Twilight Zone worked best in the 30-minute format. Completely agree. Number 12, totally love that one. Bonnie says Carnival of Souls is also very similar to Owl Creek. Yeah, I mean, Carnival of Souls is great. I love that. Herc Harvey just did such a good job with the low budget that he had. And that's one of my favorite ghoul films. And there's also ones I like in Praise of Pip that are similar to Carnival of Souls, just these creepy carnivals that are abandoned and our characters are walking around. That's the beauty of something like Carnival of Souls. Number 12 Looks Just Like You really touched me, made me think of the original Stepford Wives. That's a good point. It's good. It's got a lot to say. And I think that is the main episode that inspired Black Mirror. Like, I don't know if Black Mirror ever happens without Number 12 Looks Just Like You. And there's apparently a shitty band called Number 12 Looks Just Like You. So unfortunately, they never happened without them too. Grande, that episode number 12 might be relating to the Red Scare, putting down communism of the 50s and 60s, and that may be a part of it. And maybe, I mean, the whole idea of it is the horrors of conformity. we want everyone at a certain age to turn into whatever number they choose, right? But it's not just, okay, I'm looking beautiful. It's not just plastic surgery. It's, you could see when the lead wakes up at the end, she's not herself anymore. She's not talking about writing or poetry or her father or her memories. She's just talking about how beautiful she looks and her beautiful smile. We've lost who we were watching the first 20 something minutes of the episode. We lost her. And I think the idea is we will lose everyone if we continue to all conform to the society that they want us to live. And that's the whole point, I think, of that episode. And it's so masterfully done. That's an episode that deserves more love as well as number 12 Looks Just Like You. That was the Bubble Boy. The one with Roddy McDowell, yes. People are alike everywhere, Moccasin. Great one where he's in the zoo at the end. That one's great. You really, you can't. That's the problem. With 156 of these, I could go on forever. Like it never stops. It's out of 156, there's like 50 fucking great ones. It's crazy. It's truly quantity and quality. 6-5 J's on the Yanks, bottom 7th. It's tight though, Grande. It's tight. Dude, go Blue Jays. I hope Blue Jays win every time against the Skankies. Wish it into the cornfield, please. That's one, I watched it last night just for fun because I knew I wasn't going to discuss it here tonight. The acting from the adults in that episode is so good. They're all like, holy shit. Like they're all on like just eggshells the whole time. And it's real good you've done that, Anthony. It's real good. It's good that you're making it snow. You'll kill half the crops, but it's real good you're doing that, Anthony. Real good. That was a great one, man. That little Anthony Fremont. Great stuff. That's a great one. Mirror Image is a big favorite. Mirror Image is great. Vera Miles' joint where she sees her doppelganger in the mirror. That's one that's been adapted a lot and inspired a lot. Really like that one as well. Like we're saying, we could go on all fucking night. You could truly rank all 156 of them and maybe only have like 30 or so that are subpar. Are You Afraid of the Dark episode Closet Keepers makes me think that Kubrick. Okay. Don't like Carnival Souls. I like Carnival Souls. It's the Kardashians. It really is. It's almost like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep as well, the Philip K. Dick story. The guy abducted in the saucer and flies out. Focus Pocus and Frisbee is great. Come on. I love Hocus Pocus and Frisbee. But that brings us to number 1. What better transition than Frisbee himself? Oh, cumulonimbus Frisbee, they called me. Number 1. Here we go. The one episode that, in my opinion, is the greatest of them all. We are here. It is now. It is number 1. I'm talking to you people here tonight about 5 characters in search of an exit. Brief plot synopsis. An army major awakens in a small room with no idea of who he is or how he got there. He finds 4 other people in the same room, and they all begin to question how they each arrived there. But most importantly, how to escape. Now, to me, the reason this is number 1 is numerous reasons. You could argue The Hitchhiker, you could argue Game of Pool, you could argue The Howling Man. I love all of those. The reason I put this as number 1 is because it is the most well-rounded episode of the entire show. Great acting, has it. Great direction, has it. Great mystery, has it. Great acting, has it. Great writing, has it. It has everything. The classic, what is the show known for? Its memorability, its twists. This is one of the all-time best twists in the history of the show. To me, it's the single most well-rounded joint that the Twilight Zone ever had to offer. And we watch as this army major wakes up in this cylinder and he doesn't know who he is or where he is. He doesn't feel thirst or hunger, but he feels afraid of where he is. And of course, the major's played by William Wyndham, who does a really good job here. And he encounters these other characters. There's a ballerina, a tramp, a bagpiper, and a clown. Of course, Susan Harrison, the beautiful Susan Harrison, she plays the ballerina. Of course, Murray Matheson plays the clown. And if you know the Twilight Zone movie, and if you know the Good Life segment in the movie that Joe Dante did, they, of course, remade the Anthony Fremont one. That was Murray Matheson's in there. You'll recognize, holy shit. So he's one of the rare people that was on the show and in the movie. So really cool to see Murray in here as this clown, who is this wisecracking clown. And then, of course, the tramp and the bagpiper. We meet our 5 characters. They're all these distinct occupations, or lack thereof in the hobo's case. And they want to know why they're there. They want to know what's going on. Who are we? Where are we? What are we? Well, have you ever taken off your shoe and hit it against the wall? Have you thought of that? And they're all arguing over where they are, who they are, and why they don't feel certain things and emotions. And the bulk of the episode is them discussing their theories. And that's the thing we have an overabundance of. Possibilities. I love the clown says that. We're here because we're here, because we're here, because we're here. Great. I love that. I think that stuff is really good. As of course, these characters are asking each other, well, where are we? What are we? Have you ever shouted? Have you ever screamed? Have you ever checked for a lever? And for a long while, that's all we did. But there's no way out, and we don't question it anymore. And I love all the theories they throw around. Is this purgatory? Is this hell? Is this alternate dimension? Where are we? What's going on? And Susan Harrison kind of breaks the ice as the Major starts to break down. He's crying hysterically. He's like, what the hell? Like, where are we? I'm afraid. There has to be someone out there that loves us, that cares for us, that is looking for us now. Like, please, like, somebody tell me that we're in good hands here. And as he's crying, Susan Harrison, I love how she gently puts her head on his shoulder. And she says, perhaps that's who we are. Perhaps we're the unloved. That perhaps that's who we are. And I love how she delivers that as this guy's just crying his eyes out. And he turns around and says, yeah, maybe this is what hell is. Maybe the unloved go to hell. Maybe that's where we are. And he gets the bright idea. Why don't we all stand on each other's shoulders and see if we could reach the top? And there's all these arguments. Well, why would we do that? One thing we can feel is pain, and I don't want to do it. Why the hell would we try to go for that? And there's all this argument, but then they do try to go for it. And she's like 3 or 2 inches short. She just misses the top as we hear this bell occasionally, and they all fall down. And then the whole idea is, if we miss by a couple of inches, what if we like tied a rope around a sword and lassoed our way up there? And the whole idea is they do it again, and the Major kind of crawls up. And it's the whole anticipation of where are they? What's going on? And Rod Serling says, we won't end the nightmare. We'll only explain it. As he gets to the top, and where are we? Major, where are we? He falls, and they're like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like, what happened? And hey, he's going to be back. I know it. He'll be back. He may be back, but it's not going to be to get us. And we get our twist where the Major is lying in the snow and is picked up by a little child. It's a little girl who, funny enough, played by Buck Houghton's daughter, the producer. That was his daughter in real life, her only acting credit. She picks it up and goes, hey, I found this on the floor. And she goes, oh, thank you so much. And this lady puts it in a barrel, and she says, oh, these are dolls for the needy girls and stuff, and we're just collecting them. So, please, anyone bring them by. She starts ringing the bell, dolls for Christmas, dolls for Christmas. And we see the barrel, and that our characters the entire time were toys. The entire time we were watching these people, as we thought they were truly toys. When I first saw this, I was really of a young age. I was mind blown. And obviously I know some people, I even saw someone in the comments at Toy Story. Yeah, Toy Story may have taken a page from this. There's no doubt. But the eeriness I felt, the shiver I felt down my spine when I first saw that, I was like, holy shit, that is a great twist. I never would have thought that. And what Susan Harrison says does sort of spoil it. They're the unloved. They're not unloved people. They're unloved objects. They're unloved toys. They're unloved playthings that can only be loved in the hands and arms of a child, which is what they are for. And we do this great tracking shot from Lamont Johnson, the director. He shows each one of the dolls now just as actual dolls, and the designs are great. They did these great face moldings to make these dolls look as much like the people as possible, as we kind of pan from doll to doll to doll, and we see the ballerina's hand hold the Major's, and you see she starts crying. We see precipitation, tears come down from her eyes. To me, the all-time best one. I know there's some people that say it's bullshit. I know some people argue, well, who would have a toy hobo? There's been a lot of people to throw their stones at this episode. And that's fine if you feel that way. That's totally fine. I have to be honest with you, though. When I first saw this show and I first started watching it as a young child, this was the one that got me the most. And over the years, I tried to kid myself that maybe that's number 3 or number 2. Right now, that's number one to me because it really is the most well-rounded. It has the most going for it. And to me, is one of the all-time great episodes of TV. And for me, I just love this one. So personally, my favorite, I love Five Characters in Search of an Exit. I think it's great. I know some people might not like that as the number one pick. I read my list, funny enough, earlier to my dad because my dad is a big reason why I'm a fan of these. And he's the one that showed me the show. And he was like, I was all the way with you until number one. He's like, I hate that one. He doesn't like this one at all. So it is what it is. But you know what? Five Characters Search and Exit, to me, it has a special place in my heart. I love this one. Let's see what you guys have to say about it, though. That's a good one. They're toys in a bucket. That's right. Keeps you guessing. It does. It's to me, it's Twilight Zone 101. What's going on? They give you the mystery. They give you the nightmare. There's these great actors and great ideas of like what's going on. Maybe we're here, or maybe we're there, or maybe you're this. I love that. It's all speculation, but it is said somewhere in the middle. We're the unloved, and that's right, but it's just not as black and white as it turns out to be. Interesting. It's a great one. Thank you. I agree. It is a great one. Toy Story prequel. Yes, I've heard people say that. You too. The words right out of my mouth. Cheetah. Yes. Five Characters really good too. Yeah. No, I love this one. I know that it's based off the Marvin Patel short story, which I think was called Six Characters in Search of an Author, which, you know, that's a fine short story, but it, to me, doesn't compare anything to this episode. I think the episode is so good. Maybe it's a metaphor for real life. And that's the Twilight Zone. It's anything you want it to be. It's however you want to interpret it. That's the beauty. I don't know. Paranoia might have been a big issue with Rod Serling. I'm sure. I mean, Rod Serling had a lot of issues with the producers and sponsors and things like that. 3-2 Mets. Diaz going for the save. Let's hope he saves it. Rod Serling, I think, didn't like war. There's one with Leonard Nimoy becomes a Japanese soldier. That's right. That's a Quality of Mercy, which I know a lot of people say is not politically correct now. That is what it is, but I don't think it's a bad episode either. It's a good one. Sort of like the play by French existentialist Jean-Paul Sartre called No Exit. Right. Sartre, sorry. I love those twists. Definitely one of the best Grande, but then I just can't choose. It's so hard. And this is my list right now. Now, funny enough, if you want a good laugh, I can give you a good laugh. 11 years ago, one of the first videos I ever posted on Grande's Graveyard was my top 10. I'm like 16 in the video. I am awkward. I am terrible. It is one of the most cringy videos if you want to try to watch it. It's 15 minutes of me gushing about the zone. It's horrible. It's funny. My voice is like, you could tell, like I'm not a man yet at all. But the cool thing about it is if you want to laugh, some of these still remain the same. Some of these stayed in place. They may be different points of the list, but they're still on there. Like Death's Head Revisited, I believe, was still on there. Five Characters was still on there. Nice Place to Visit. Like there are ones that stayed. However, over time, as I've gotten older, there are ones that have entered the list now that weren't there before. And it's fun. This show does, I think, matter when you see it. I watched it as a young child, watched the marathons, and hence why I do it the night before the marathons to sort of get you guys in the mood and hopefully watch as much Zone tomorrow as you can before you go out to your parties and whatnot, or when you get home even. But for me, it's just so tough to choose. It's the hardest list you can make. And we'll wrap up with a fun bottom 5 because why not? I can't rank them. It's so hard. You're so right. You could easily, in theory, do a top 40 and still be justified. Like you said, it's your favorite. We all have different POV, right? Yeah, exactly. No, like I'm just saying, I know some people don't like this one, so it is what it is, but I just do. I totally do. Fantastic number 1. Your description adds so much emotion to the characters. Thank you. No, I think it has so much to say. It's like, that's what they are. They're going to make a difference in the life of a child. Like the Army major crying his eyes out. I don't have any purpose. Yes, you do. He just doesn't know what his purpose is. And that's kind of what makes it sad. One of the episodes that I remember is the 1980s remake is Wish Bank, which is sort of a take on the Monkey's Paw, which they've done a million times, where these POWs find a leprechaun who grants them 3 wishes. Oh, really? That sounds like a hoot. Papa Grande's opinion is being heard only. I asked him if he wanted to make a cameo, but he said no. We're not done yet. We're going to do a bottom 5. We could chill late night here. Great list of 10 and honorable mentions. Maybe you could do top five least favorite half-hour Twilight Zone episode. So I was gonna just do bottom 5 overall. If you want me to narrow it down to only half-hour ones, I'd have to do my research right now, which we could do. I had a bottom 5 queued up though, so we could do that. Whatever you guys are feeling. That is the top 10, of course. We've wrapped that. Let's do bottom 5. And you know what? I could just stick with the half-hour ones because that's a freaking challenge if there's ever been one. I know my number one. Maybe we could work backwards because my number one is a half-hour one. Let's do it. Let's do the top 5 worst Twilight Zone episodes because I think this would be fun. And we'll only stick to half-hour ones. So season 4, you get off the hook because there's some shitty season 4 episodes. The number one worst episode of the Twilight Zone, in my opinion, ever since the first time I saw it, I despise it with a passion, is called Sounds and Silences from season 5, episode number 27. It is the biggest piece of shit this series ever produced. It's about a man who's like a retired Navy ship worker, and he loves noise. He loves sound. He's played by John MacGyver. He does an awful job in the role. The character is just pins, like literally you want to stick pins in your ears. You just don't want to listen to this guy talk. Which I guess is poetic to the episode. He wants to hear all this noise. He has these records that play ship sounds. And then the idea is he, at one point, can't hear anything. And then he hears everything too loud. Like he hears the drips in the water in the sink. Like anything that drops from the sink, he can hear it at a heightened expense. Or if somebody beeps a car horn, it sounds like the loudest thing in the world to him. He goes to a hypnotist. The hypnotist cures him. And then by the end of the episode, John MacGyver is deaf. That's the end of that. It is the absolute worst episode of Twilight Zone. It's horribly written. And it's funny because Rod Serling wrote the script and was sued by another writer that claimed that Rod Serling ripped off his script. And Rod had to pay the guy $3,500. And this is in 1964. $3,500 in 1964. That's a fucking good chunk of money. It's a good chunk of money now, let alone 1964, bro. That's an arm and a leg in 1964. That's somebody's paycheck. I mean, like, probably their salary for a few months. I don't know, but just a lot. So I always thought that was crazy that he got sued over the worst episode. I would have been like, buddy, take all the credit you want. This is the worst one. Like, I'll put your name on it. Like, I'm going to keep my 3,500, my respect, and we'll put your name on it, buddy. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. That one is easily the worst episode of the entire series. That one wouldn't be, I'm looking here because I want to keep only the half-hour ones. The next one, I'm sorry, this one's going to piss people off too, because I know Buster Keaton's a darling of people, but I fucking hate this one. I'm not going to lie to you. The next one, season 3, episode 13, Once Upon a Time. This one's fucking terrible. I don't know why this one has good reviews. I guess people like Buster Keaton. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. I trust me, I like a lot of old school stuff. I am an old school person. There's no question about that. But man, I fucking have to like catch my breath. That's how bad this one to me. Someone asks, do I like Buster Keaton movies? I like a lot of stuff, but no, I don't fucking like Buster Keaton movies at all. And this episode fucking sucks because it's an entire homage to his films and his era of the silent era, because he was a big silent film star. And it opens in the silent era. He puts a fucking magical helmet on. He transports to 1960 and there's sound, and then the whole episode the people are arguing over the helmet and who can use it to go wherever they want to go. It's terrible. That's my number 2 least favorite. I fucking hate that one. I hate, loathe entirely Once Upon a Time. That one's terrible. That's the number 2 worst one. Next one, also from season 3, an underrated one that like nobody ever talks about. It's underratedly bad, and it's Showdown with Rance McGrew. What a piece of garbage. Now, this is from the actor from A Nice Place to Visit who played Mr. Valentine. What the hell is his damn name? Larry Blyden is his name. He's the lead here as this guy who pretends he's like this Jesse James character on a Western television show. Well, he's talking all this big game, and then basically what happens is a real life get gunslinger, a real life guy, like the real Jesse James shows up and is like, hey, you better play my characters with respect. And the whole episode is him bullying around fucking Larry Blyden, and that's it. And he's just afraid of him, and he's bullying him into acting more properly. That's the whole episode. It's unfunny. It's horrible. It's truly horrible episode of television. I hate it. It's number 3 of the worst half-hour ones. Coming in after that, another season 3 one. Season 3 had a lot of great ones, but unfortunately had some bad ones. This is the one with Carol Burnett. Yeah, people don't maybe not realize that. Carol Burnett was in the fucking zone. Twilight Zone with Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett in Cavender is Coming from season 3, episode number 36. Absolutely horrible. This is a horrendous version of It's a Wonderful Life. And I know people will bash Mr. Beavis, which is the season 1 episode of It's a Wonderful Life in the Twilight Zone. That episode is miles better than this one. I despise Cavender is Coming. It's the only Twilight Zone episode ever with a laugh track. And it's awful. It's fucking Carol Burnett, and she's trying out for like some kind of dancing crew, and she sucks and she's awkward and she falls on her face, and her guardian angel is trying to teach her how to be proper and prim. And the entire episode plays out as a unfunny, terrible comedy with a fucking laugh track. It's a disgrace to the show. It never should have been part of the show. And in fact, was produced only for the sole purpose of giving Carol Burnett a show of her own playing this character. So that was the idea. It was supposed to be a pilot for a show that was going to happen, but the episode is so bad that show never happens. And in turn, we get the Carol Burnett show, which is a lot better down the road, thankfully. But yet it's a horrible one. So Cavender is Coming would be another one that would have to make my top worst list of 5. So that's 4 of them. See, this is tough because I had more hour-long ones. So I'm really just going to browse and make sure that I'm not missing any here. There are a lot of bad ones I like Come Water With Me, I love. I think that's a great episode. I don't care what anybody says. I like The Mind and the Matter. That's one that I really like. The Thing About Machines is close. That's the one where all the machines come to life and try to kill the fucking guy. That one's pretty bad. But I don't know if it's bottom 5 bad. Like bottom 5 is like the worst of the worst to me. So I want to make sure I go through all the seasons here before I come across like the last really, really bad one. The Fever I love. I don't give a shit what anybody says. The Fever's good. That's most of them. That's most of the ones. Oh, okay. Got it. I got the number 5 one. The last one, the number 5 worst episode is from season 1. It is The Chaser. The biggest waste of time in season 1. I know Douglas Hayes directs it. He does a great job visually. That's the only reason it's at number 5 on the list as opposed to being higher. It's a terrible, bad love potion story that, of course, this guy tries to get this woman to fall in love with him, and it's just horrible. Terrible. There's also other bad ones from season 5, like Black Leather Jackets. That's another really, really bad one. From Agnes with Love. There are bad zones. Don't get me wrong. You can hit a bad zone every now and again, but compared to the greats, I mean, they're so few and far between when it comes to the bad ones as opposed to the greats. So that's just my 2 cents. Those would be my bottom 5, though, of the show. Only half-hour ones. The hour-long ones, there are like The Bard is terrible. The one where William Shakespeare helps the guy to write the novel and Burt Reynolds is in it. That one's terrible. There's the I Dream of Jeannie with Jack Albertson playing the genie for like one scene. It's horrible. Remember, Anthony Fever Dreamland said, I Dream of Jeannie would have been better if they had an orgy in the office. And now, keep in mind, Anthony Fever Dreamland Theater is the most politically correct PG guy I know. Nicest human being on planet Earth. And he even wanted an orgy. So if you can get that guy to ask for an orgy, you've really made a bad episode of television, man. But let's get to comments, though, and then we'll hit the road. Mets win, Mets win, Mets win. Now let's go kick some Yankees' ass. Mets coming out of the Twilight Zone. Donovan stoked. Happy Thursday, my friend. Grande, I think Sterling was pressed for time with deadlines, and he totally was. And they were horrible. Like, if you read stories of how Rod had to deal with these sponsors, man, you will pull your hair out. I mean, there were stories where the characters in the episodes would be drinking coffee. And they got mad at Rob and said, hey, listen, the tea company is sponsoring us this week. Have the line dubbed over and say they're drinking tea. And so he had to go in and make those changes. I mean, these were the type of people he was dealing with at CBS. Like, definitely no walk in the park. I could not imagine the stress in that man. And that's what's so sad to me with The Zone. I think it would have went on, but I think the number one thing is Rod lost love for it. Rod didn't love it anymore. After season 3, I don't think Rod's heart was ever in the show again. Now, there are great episodes post season 3, but I don't think Rod loved it like he did in the beginning towards the end. And you could clearly show. I mean, he filmed all the intros and outros in a day in the last season. He was very busy in teaching in the university. He just didn't love it anymore, man. And when you don't love this thing, if you cannot give you're 100%, undivided heart to it, then it's time to go. And like, that's an unfortunate thing that I think a lot of creative minds have to do at certain point, is swallow that bitterest of pill and say, listen, I don't love this thing anymore. I've got to get out of here. I've got to leave and refresh. And of course, I think when you get to Night Gallery, I truly think he missed it. I think he missed the fun of this show, because season 6 would have happened if he said yes. It was a simple yes or no question to Rod Serling. They said, hey, season 5 did better than we thought in the ratings. We'll renew you for a 6th. What do you say? I know this was supposed to be the end. And Rod said, no, I'm done. That's it. Like, that was it. And that, to me, is one of my great what ifs of the history of this genre. What if we had a season 6? What happens then? Do we get classic episodes and we would have needed to do a 7? I don't know. It's the biggest what if to me in the history of horror TV, because, you left us wanting more. We didn't leave wanting, less. We left wanting more. And of course, Rod was the one that hit the brakes and pulled the plug. So it is what it is. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's good that you went out on top as one of the all-time great shows, as opposed to so many others that crumble as they go on and on and on as the milk runs out. Grande, do you like Buster Keaton movies? Honestly, I don't. I'm not a big silent film era fan. I only go so far back. I've watched them. I've tried, like Chaplin and Keaton, and it's just not for me. I respect the art form. I totally do. And I know at a time that was all people had. And I genuinely respect those people that liked that stuff. But I personally enjoy sound. I'm just one of those random guys that likes sound in his stuff. Call me crazy. Color is nice every now and again, although black and white works fine. That's just me, though. That's just, I know I'm younger, so maybe I'm naive to that stuff. But I'm trying to say to you, as I respect it, it's just not for me. I like Buster Keaton films, but it's fine what you think. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Buster Keaton didn't carry over into the sound era. That's a great exception, maybe with yeah. I mean, a lot of them, what happened was their voices just didn't work. Like, they did it. It just didn't sound right. It didn't portray to live action with sound, right? Once the Jazz Singer comes out in 27, now we've got sound, and just some of these guys that were these big mega stars didn't translate well because that wasn't their game. Their whole game was nonverbal acting, and when it became verbal, it became really hard. Like, that's the thing that people take for granted too with voice acting. We have voice acting that okay, people go, oh, I have a great voice, I could do that. Yeah, but you can do funny voices. That's great. That's half the battle won. Can you act? That's the most important, pivotal question to a voice actor. Can you act? And that's really, a lot of them unfortunately cannot. And that's what I think separates the men from the boys, for lack of a better term. Love Buster Keaton. Cool. I don't know. I don't know. It just, not my thing. I hated that episode for some reason, but it seems like I'm alone there. Just look, 3,564 is about $36K now. So that's a bad salary. But granted, depending on where you live, right? I mean, there's some parts of the country that might be a good salary. But that's a lot of fucking money for 1964. And like, dude, if I'm him, man, I would have been like, dude, put your name on it. I'll put your name right on it. Don't worry about it. Like, keep my money, my self-respect, and my dignity. You can have your name on the worst Twilight Zone ever. That would have been my 2 cents. But, and it's funny, Rod felt the worst episode ever was the Bewitching Pool, which was the last episode. I highly disagree. I like the Bewitching Pool. I know people hate it. I know it had production problems. I don't give a shit. I like that one. In the classic movie, Sunset Boulevard plays himself during the scene where Norma Desmond is playing bridge with her friends in the fireworks, which Joe calls the waxwork. Buster Keaton. That's right. Yeah. Sunset Boulevard is another movie I always wanted to like more than I did, but I don't know. It wasn't for me either. It was okay. I'm ready for my close-up, Miss Fuck You. Grande, there are 2 superhero family movies, I think, at the same time, being The Incredibles and Sky High. I think there's those times when screenwriters coincidentally write the same story. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be things that are similar, right? They're, like, perfect example for the Twilight Zone. You have that one episode, I shot the arrow into the air, which is about a rocket ship that gets shot up and they lose sight of it. They lose tracking of it. And the twist is they crash right back down into the earth, but they think they're on an asteroid the whole time. And that's the big twist at the end. They were in the desert. There's another episode from season 2, which is called the Rip Van Winkle Caper, which is almost the same thing. It's these 4 guys. They cryogenically freeze themselves because they've stolen all of this gold. And when they wake up in 100 years down the road, they go to cash in the gold and they're in the desert. They die one by one, and you find out that the gold was worthless. The gold was, manufactured. They found a way to manufacture it, and now the gold is worthless. So they all killed each other for nothing. Same basic thing. Guys in the desert think they're one place, killing each other off over nothing. That's basically the plot. But, I mean, they're both very well done. So that happens sometimes. It's just a matter of execution. Sometimes, a lot of times, you get one that works really well, one that doesn't. But when they're both done well, it's like, who cares? Carol Burnett was awful. It is. It's, oh my God, dude, it's terrible. I like Hocus Pocus. I like Frisbee. Call me crazy. I like that one. Bewitched and Pool, I love too. The message I thought was brilliant, right? If your parents will keep divorcing and only focusing on each other, and your kids have an out to Never Neverland, they're gonna go. And that, I thought that was great. And yeah, it's weird, it's creepy, it's all these things, but man, I think it's good. I always like that one. Don't forget Hocus Pocus. I like Hocus Pocus. Maybe Robert Redford Death Guy one. That's right, Nothing in the Dark. Good one, but not one I go back to watch a lot. Don't remember any of those 5, so they had to be bad. Nice work building the list so quick. Yes, I had the top 5 was prepared. The number 1 was a half-hour one, but a lot of them were season 4, so I went off a little bit more off the cuff with the ranking there. But I appreciate just the half-hour ones, because it really is true that a lot of the hour ones, even if they're not bad or not that good either. Great show as always. Only. Thank you so much. Grande, don't forget this show is sponsored by Marlboro cigarettes. That's so funny. My dad used to smoke tons of Marlboros. That's so funny. And R.I.P. Rod. Can't remember the cigarettes. After this, I have to rewatch your top 10 zones. Loved it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Donovan. Thank you so much. Sterling died a horrible death. He did. He had like 3 heart attacks in like a few days. Yeah, it's horrible. I don't know if they would have been able to save him now with modern science. I think they might have, because if you look at how it was pretty much like all for the smoking, but he was only like 50, I think. Rod was young. 8-5 Toronto, great show. Grande, long live the Twilight Zones. Awesome, man. Thank you. Jack Webb smoked Chesterfields as well. Yeah, The Voice in the Face. Let's see. There are episodes in the first season of Night Gallery that could have been Twilight Zone episodes. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love some of the Night Gallery stuff. And I've never jumped into that in this channel. I'm thinking maybe when I finish Black Mirror, which next month, August, we're going to do Black Mirror season 3. So stay tuned for that if anyone's interested in Black Mirror. But I always have to do the zones in July. It's a staple. 4th of July, you got to do the zones. And I had never done top 10 lists other than 11 years ago when I, was before glasses and all these things. Mel Blanc. My daughter likes Bewitched and Pool. She doesn't get the hate. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so awesome. I don't get the hate either. I really don't. I get it's not the greatest made, like it has some bad dubbing and stuff, but I don't know. The whole message of it and the idea of it is, I think, really good. Third Rock from the Sun. Forgot about that one. You mean Third from the Sun, or Third Planet from the Sun, or something like that. I think it's called Third from the Sun. It's called. That's a great one too. I could go on. Great show. D to the A, J to the G. Absolutely. Thank you so much, man. So everybody, this was a lot of fun. I had a great live crowd the whole time. It was so fun, always engaging with you guys. If you want, please comment down below. Let me know your top 10, your honorable mentions, and if you may be so daring, your bottom 5 episodes in the history of this show. If you want to let me know, please do. Everybody have a safe, happy, healthy 4th of July. If you celebrate it, please do. You have a bunch of burgers, have a bunch of dogs, have a bunch of Mountain Dew, jump in the pool. Why don't you while you're at it? Just don't go too deep in the pool, because then you'll end up in the Bewitched pool, and you'll wind up in the Auntie, whatever the fuck her name was. I can't think of the lady's name, but that lady was so creepy as hell. Everybody, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. As people say, only good one, Grande. Thank you. I keep pestering Grande. He needs to do the Twilight Zone movie. Thank you. This was fun. Thank you, Bonnie. So happy to have you for the first time here. Peace out. Everybody, thank you so much. And we will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. Too sweet. Peace. Have a good one, everybody. Good night.